All right, welcome y'all. I'm here with Robo and Natho to go over the week 3 and week 4 SDB Pokemon matches. So, hey guys, thanks for joining me.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks
good to
for
be
having
here.
us.
So first up, we've got Bombi versus Robo, and because we've got Robo here with us, we're gonna have him break it down and kind of walk us through what he was thinking with team building.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is actually a really good match. Um, Bombi brought a really good team, and he had a spicy Arc Result set that ended up not really getting to do much because it was built to counter a Galvantula that I did not bring. But other than that, it was pretty good standard match. So I guess we'll just get into it. All right. So immediately, it's looking pretty good for me. I'm threatening a KO on this Togekiss with Gunk Shot. So I think I'm trying to remember, but I think I actually click a coverage move. I might have actually clicked Crunch here.
Hey, so real
Um,
quick before we go into that more, was there? Do you
yeah.
remember? Were there any mons that you were surprised to see, or that you were expecting to see and didn't? I think
So
Slow King's a pretty notable omission.
yeah, I think I was kind of expecting Slowking. I guess in hindsight, it makes sense that it didn't come. Slitherwing kind of just eats it up. I think I'm starting to bring Overquill a lot at this point, so that also has a pretty good matchup into it. And I guess he didn't really see like a hail or an arc result angle, but I kind of prepped for it anyway. The Marowak is lightning rod, and so it's kind of supposed to be like a soft arc result counter.
Sounds like a pretty good
Um,
Arctozolt counter to me. Does
yeah.
does he get a
Well, I
ground
think the only
move?
thing the only thing I was afraid of was I think Mix like a Hydro Pump might have
Hmm.
been pretty good, but I didn't know if he was going to go that crazy because I don't think he was expecting Marowak. As a matter of fact, I think he commented that he was surprised to see the Marowak and no Galvantula. So, but anyway, so I think I click Crunch here, expecting a switch, and he clicks Air Slash and it flinches, so it does not matter. And at this point, I'm going to switch because I see now that I'm assuming now that it's scarfed.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember like what my thought process was, but at this point, I'm going to switch into my dedicated counter for this thing, which is Diancie, and he makes a pretty easy switch into Donphan, which is a big threat to my entire team because I don't have a very good switch into Earthquake. My best switch in is Slitherwing.
Hmm.
Like my best, I mean, I can eat some Earthquakes with Quagsire, but it's still going to take a lot of damage.
Yeah, and you
And
really need
Slitherwing
it
resists, but
sticking
I don't
around
want
for
it to
the
be
impact.
chipped for this matchup.
Hmm.
And so at this point, I just decide that um, Quagsire is gonna just take this thing as best as it can, um, and it eats an Earthquake pretty well, and it gets immediately killed by Seed Bomb. And I always thought this could be an option, but at the same time, at this point, I only see one way to get rid of this thing easily, and that's to try to bait an Earthquake and Destiny Bond kill it.
Hmm.
And so that's basically what I do. So I'm basically like, okay, if this thing has Seed Bomb, then so be it. Like, if it doesn't have Seed Bomb, then it's going to switch, and maybe I'll get a burn with Scald or something like that.
Hmm.
Or I'll do some decent damage, maybe get a burn. If it has Seed Bomb and I die here, that's fine. I'll
Then
just go
you
to my,
plan B.
yeah, essentially. And this is like, at this point, this is my only out. So I'm hoping he takes the bait, and it's a pretty free click for him because, like I said, Earthquake is pretty good damage to my entire team. So
Hmm. Yeah, you're really in trouble if you don't get rid of this Don fan.
yeah, it ends up working out. But I'm already at a pretty big deficit because it's like pretty much,
2 for 1.
um, yeah,
But the Destiny Bond was sick. That was a pretty cool bring, and I'm glad you got mileage out of it.
yeah, for sure. And so I bring this thing in, and I didn't know it at the time, but this Entei has Stomping Tantrum, which in hindsight, I'm kind of surprised it didn't click here. But I guess he's just afraid that Poltergeist is going to chunk too hard.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just fully expecting to eat whatever he sends. Um, and he just makes a clean switch and wheezing here.
Yeah.
Um, I but yeah, I do have Will-O-Wisp and Stealth Rock, so it's kind of like a support tank kind of set.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I think, I assumed he was going to switch. So pause for a second here. So I think once he launches a couple sludge bombs and it's not doing much damage, I thought he was going to, like on that Will-O-Wisp, that was actually intended for the Bisharp, because I thought the Bisharp was going to come in, because I don't think I had shown Will-O-Wisp yet. Yeah, so I thought Bisharp was going to come in on the Poltergeist and threaten with like a Sucker Punch or
Yeah.
something.
Even the
That would have been really
Togekiss
sick.
probably could have come in.
Yeah. Um, but I'll take a
Catch this
burn
instead.
on the
Yeah.
wheezing there for sure.
Chip it
Um,
away. It doesn't have Black
yeah,
Sludge,
so
so it just dies slowly there.
Poltergeist puts it away. And I decided to just sack to knock off here. I can't remember what I clicked here, if I tried to get damage with Flare Blitz or if I tried to Will-O-Wisp.
EQ will list. Yeah,
Um,
because, I mean, if he's SDs here, you're in pretty deep trouble. Maybe first
yeah,
impression still takes care of it, but I don't blame
yeah.
you for staying in here and trying to fight that.
Oh, I didn't have Flare Blitz. I had Earthquake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah. And at this point, I still don't know that this is a banded Bisharp. Ends
Yes.
up being a really big deal at the end of the game
Mm-hmm.
here. And so I know this is going to force a switch. And so I know a lot of people, or there were some people in the chat that kind of commented on the protos, like the booster energy
Booster
plus
energy,
U-turn
U-turn,
being
yeah.
really weird. And the reason it's booster energy is I wanted a really clean knockoff switch in.
Yep.
Because it's one of my best dark resists. And it's one of the reasons that it comes with Metagross a lot of the time is it takes those dark attacks pretty well. And with the booster energy, it takes a knockoff really, really well and then can threaten immediately. In this match, it kind of ended up looking weird because my best play here is to just launch a U-turn anyway. That's just the way it works out. And from here, Diance's in a pretty good spot
To
because
just click
Diamond
rock
Storm
attack, yeah.
threatens most of his team. Um,
Get a
but
lucky
unfortunately, Ironhead still kills 72 pretty easily, even
With the
from a
plus
non-ban
2?
set. Yeah,
Damn.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I calced it, and it barely does. Like it's not a roll. I think. I think. Let me see. I'll pull up the calculator just to be sure, because I'm assuming right now this is a standard Bisharp, like
EV
Swords
light.
Dance,
Mhm.
Sucker Punch. Um, so let me see the Diancie, and I'm trying to remember if my Diancie was max defense. It probably would have been.
I see the Waffle House nicknames.
Oh yeah. So I'm surprised no one commented on that. I don't know if there are not enough
I
people from the
noticed
South,
watching the game.
but yeah, these are all the ways you can order Waffle House hash browns. So the real ones know. Um, but yeah, let me see. So +2, Impish, max HP, max defense, Diancie. Actually, I think it takes. Okay, so it takes max 60. So I could have lived here.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't banded.
If it wasn't and at this point I still don't know if it's banded.
Right.
Notably, I was chugging a beer this game because
To catch up.
AJ had come back on his I think he was like having some wine at dinner or something like that, and so I was like, all right, well in the spirit of sportsmanship, I will, try to do my part. And so I was playing a little fast and loose at
Honorable.
sometimes. And it ends up kind of biting me because I should have had the calculator out and I should have done the nerd calcs because it would have helped me win the game at the end. But it happens. We learn from it. So I switch here, expecting an Iron Head. And this is another thing. I should have been like, wow, 81% is a lot for a raw Iron Head.
Yep.
So this is where I should have been like, maybe that's a band, and that probably would have helped me win here. So from here, So he sacks to sucker punch, or to close combat rather, which is good.
Because you're gonna outspeed him. Yep.
Right. And from here, I have 2 lines to win the game. If I know that a Bisharp is banded, which if I had done the nerd calcs, I would know
Right.
that it is banded. So the first line is to sack the Slitherwing here and have it die. Bring in Diancie, and then Diancie revenges on the Entei, and then to kill Diancie, you have to click Iron Head. You cannot kill Diancie with Dark type moves, and then Metagross cleans up.
Right.
Yeah. The other line we'll go into once we get
Because it's closer to what
down
you
the
did
line.
take.
Yeah. And so again, I didn't expect Stomping Tantrum, so I thought this was going to be either E-Speed or some fire move, and so I thought it was a pretty safe switch. It was not, and so I ended up having to sack the Diancie here.
Yeah, that's a good read after scaring out the Slitherwing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a good play, and I think I said so in chat. It was a good call. And so from here, I'm basically like, I could maybe sweep with Metagross. Like at here, I'm kind of thinking that I might have lost. But it's weakness policy, Agi, Metagross, and so I'm like, okay, well maybe there's a chance. And so I think I end up clicking Earthquake here, just taking this out. And so the other line of play I could have gone for here is because the only move he can click here to win against Slitherwing is Sucker Punch, because I outspeed it if it doesn't click Sucker Punch. So
you don't even need close combat. I mean, you don't need first impression because close combat just gets...
No, I don't have first impression on this set.
Gotcha.
So it's U-turn, close combat, and I think 2 coverage moves, Zen Headbutt or something weird.
Oh, it really is just Sucker Punch then.
Yeah. So if I just click Agility here, I win the game, because how much PP does Agility have? Like 32,
Yeah,
something like
Sucker
that.
Punch is 8, and
yeah. So I could have just stalled him out here, and then won. But again, I don't know that it's banned until after he tells me at the end of the game. But yeah, lesson learned. Always have the calculator out. Try to suss out any knowledge you can. But it was still a very, very good game. Super close.
Yeah.
Really well played on both sides.
I do love the choice band Bisharp. Very cool bring.
Yeah, it was cool. Definitely, like anything non-standard, especially like I feel like Bisharp's one of those mons where even expecting like even knowing like the default set, it's still so hard to prep and play around. Sword Stance Sucker Punch is just really hard for a lot of teams to deal with. Yeah. So really good game.
All right.
On the flip side, this was not as competitive of a game, but
yeah. So this is Chris against Chad, and this is a one-man show.
The bunny does it all.
The bunny does it all, and it's in early. I mean, he wants to get this thing going, which is a little bit of foreshadowing for the rest of the game. So some dancing here between the Muck, the Steel type, the defensive Mons. That Draco did a lot. Does this have a funny item like Specs or something?
I can't remember. I don't remember anything about this game other than the Focus Sash Flail Rabbit sweeping the entire team.
Yeah, so is this it? Yeah, this is just it.
Yeah. So,
Diggersby presses agility.
Turn 7, presses agility.
Body slams, gets...
Yep.
And I mean, you gotta respect it, because there are so many things that can go wrong with the strat.
Yeah.
Like any entry hazard makes this set way weirder. Like any priority makes this not work. But
glare from the Superior. The Superior was shown to have glare after the match.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't blame him for clicking the Leaf Storm there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's free kill, but like,
this is exactly where Diggersby wanted him.
It's the perfect storm. Yep.
And then the flail doing 100, 100, 100 is so nice to look at.
Those are stab, huge power flails. Just absolutely ripping.
And not a priority move in sight, sadly.
It's the young 6-0.
Lone Digger for sure. We
Diggersby
saw like,
clocking in, clocking out.
yep, getting it done
Dude,
fast.
I'm sure that was a Fire Blastoise set that we never saw.
Blastoise and Lycanroc.
Maybe
And
this was the
Zarude we
week you
never
brought
saw.
Shell Smash.
We only used
Yeah.
Pokemon.
All right. So this was Alex
Yes.
in red shirt, I think.
Yes, red shirt Alex 16. And
Aronia.
like you pointed out a few minutes ago, this is one of the first really good uses of Frostlass we're going to see. this
Yeah,
week.
I love the Frostlass in this game. It did so much work on 1 HP this entire game. We'll just let it play out a little bit.
Yeah, Nathan and I took Frostlass in the doubles league and never got this kind of success with it. And I think it kind of
We
helps.
got some good Destiny Bond kills.
We did use Destiny Bond well.
Yeah. Was this the double flinch as well?
No.
It's the Umbreon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Big unlucky, because look how much this foul play does. If he didn't get the double flinch, he was done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Gyarados just gets to essentially kill like 1.5 Pokemon just clicking Waterfall, which is pretty crazy.
Helmet finished it off. Nice tech. And Iron Leaves just get such
Speed
good coverage.
boosted.
I mean, obviously that's stab, but
Yeah.
the wild
I don't know
charge-
what the Cramorant switch here is supposed to be. I don't know if it was like a Scarf Cramorant or
Maybe he wasn't expecting the wild
I
charge,
mean,
because he
yeah.
does resist or he's neutral to grass and psychic,
he
resist
takes
the fighting.
Psyblade neutrally. So I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe it's like a fully defensive Cramorant and he just wasn't expecting
does it have
wild charge.
U-turn? Scarf U-turn and didn't account for the boost energy, maybe? I don't even know.
Maybe, yeah.
Truthfully, I do not know what that Pokemon does. I know that it gets like a missile when it uses Surf or Dive, and that is the extent of my knowledge.
We need our
Yeah.
resident Cramorant lover Trey here to
was
remind
gonna
us what
say.
the missile does. It's something to
Trey's
do
gonna
with like,
at me after this video. It's like, I can't believe you don't know what Cramorant does.
typing paragraphs in the comments.
But-
Some intent juggling and gets the Frostlass back in on a double.
It's mostly just. Was it a double?
Taurus comes in, he switches straight into Frostlass, and then the
Oh, doubles into Umbreon.
doubles. The Umbreon doubles.
I wonder what he was expecting there. So it was
Taurus.
Psycho Cut
Psycho
or
Cut.
Psyblade,
Yeah.
whatever.
I guess so.
Oh yeah, he got the Intim off, and then he was coming into Umbreon.
Yeah, he's like, okay, but he still probably doesn't take Psyblade very well.
But instead, the Frostlass comes in.
Maybe
Yeah.
he was trying to juggle Intimidate
Mm-hmm.
to try to stop the sweep.
Right.
Um,
Not bad.
yeah, interesting sequence. Yeah.
And
But the 1 HP taunt is just gonna have so much mileage.
hits the Destiny Bond
And
on
then
a
Destiny
switch.
Bond.
Yep.
Okay, he switches out.
Threaten. Yep.
You know he's gonna foul play this time.
Or is he?
Oh, he tried to go for the wish.
Baton. He tried to go for the baton pass this time.
Oh my god, he
And
kills the
then and then he
Metagross.
sacks the Metagross.
This Frostlass only needs 1 hit point.
And you know what?
That's
Saves it
crazy.
even longer. Baits out the Volt Switch.
Uh-huh.
Oh. The Life Orb
Just
finished
stalled.
off Raikou.
And like the whole team
Finally gets a wish off.
Does
But now
get the
it's
wish
just
off.
like a layer of spikes before it finally dies and disables the foul play. It's like
So
adding
now
insult
thing got-
injury.
it can't do anything
We
when it
can't
comes
do
back
anything to the Iron Leaves.
yeah,
in. So yeah.
Does that kill? That
MVP
kills.
Boost.
And
cross
that's
last
nice.
performance.
Frostlass and the Iron Leaves getting its value worth. Is that a tier 2 Pokemon or is it tier 3?
I
It might be
don't
2.
know
It should be 2.
offhand.
It's good. Good.
It's a good
Pokemon.
one.
It's fast,
Yeah.
it's got Swords Dance, and it's got good coverage.
So yeah, DD Waterfall into Frostlass into Iron Leaf Sweep. Pretty clean. All right, next up we've
Y'all
got
know,
Cam Icona.
real quick, do y'all know what Psyblade does? Like what the effect of the move is?
Does it
No, it's probably just
I'm
increased crit,
the
right?
opposite of
Okay.
Psyshock? I don't remember.
Okay, so it's just an 80 base power physical electric move,
Oh.
but on electric terrain, its base power is increased to 120.
Wait. It's a physical psychic move, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And on
That's
E-terrain-
boosted by electric terrain.
So it's
Okay.
just
Oh,
80
I guess
power
it's
stab.
signature move for him since he's
Yeah,
Paradox.
Cool.
That's interesting. Anyway, I was curious.
Dude, Kleavor seems really good.
Cleaver's good.
I've liked it
I
every time
agree.
I see it.
It's good to be able to hit with 120 base power stealth rock setting move.
Yeah, exactly. And then a strong U-turn.
Yeah. Well, offensive stealth rock is just such good momentum. You know, it's almost never a bad click.
And then it's a rock type attack too, so that's good typing for your attack.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest here. I kind of been complaining about this Gligar all season. It just clicked lunge. I don't know if that's on Gligar, buddy.
I don't know who that's for. I mean, I guess it's just lunge lowers attack, right?
Yeah.
It was on the Licky.
So I mean, I guess it's just like if it's like lunge toxic, maybe lunge toxic roost. I'm guessing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just to sit on a physical attacker and just never die.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just
That looked rough. And then I think... Does he give up the Gligar? No, not yet. The regular Arcanine. I forget about this Pokemon when every other week I'm prepping or mocking for H
Arcanine.
Yeah.
Dude, Arcanine's a really solid mon, just in general.
It's
He
great.
just
got a
doesn't
lot of
get
stuff
stab
to
head
do.
smash.
It has so much
That is
flexibility.
true. Yeah.
Rough para. We don't know. Good.
The Ice Beam was
So-
going to be hitting the Gligar probably.
Yeah, which makes
Yeah.
the Ogerpon
Well,
switch.
it could have also been a water move.
Yeah, it could have been like Flip Turn. Flip Turn
Yeah.
could have come out.
Yeah.
And really
I mean, I
looking
guess
at it, there's...
No one else wants to take a water move. I
Not
guess
a great
Gardevoir can
switch.
come in with good special defense.
Yeah.
If it's like a defensive Gardevoir, but if you're like counting on the Gardevoir to do anything offensive, you don't want to take a whole lot of chip. But I mean, I guess
Oh.
that's probably your safest switch.
What if this was Mirror Ogerpon?
Oh.
Could've
Yeah,
been.
that would have been interesting.
Well, it's got a U-turn, so hard to
I
say.
think I'm trying to remember if this is the same game, but it might have been Lumberry. I think it's revealed to be Lumberry later
Okay.
in the game. But
And then we get this sequence.
oh yeah,
Which made the lunge look pretty well thought out.
this is just in the business what we call the homie stock.
Yeah.
The-
Man,
the
that
enemy
red
team of
steel's
Bone
just
here.
impossible to
It
take
kind of
down.
messaged him and
So
said,
so
"Hey,
this
check
is-
your PayPal," and then he heavy slammed.
How much for a heavy
volume.
slam?
I think Trey said something along the lines of he wanted to beat the body press allegations.
Yeah, I think
He didn't want
Trey
to be
was...
considered a dirty body press slammer.
Yeah,
So-
it may have been influenced by some by the chatters in the match.
Yeah.
Oh, this poor Gligar. They really could not catch a break. You know, I'm criticizing the lunge,
Yeah.
but maybe he had a cool set on there. Lunge roost toxic sounds
Yeah.
not bad. So
Gligar just doesn't have the offensive stats to run Earthquake like
Yeah.
Lee Score can.
From here, I think Darm just wins. And I mean, looking at his team, I think
Yeah, he
Darm
just flicks
kind of
Air
just
Blitz.
wins against everything except for Arcanine,
Yeah.
I guess.
This Gligar getting disabled by the Licky early really hurt it. And I don't know, you're kind of almost using the Gligar too much, assuming it's your Darmanitan answer. It's like, I don't know, you have other mons that can come in on... I guess it's good into the Jolteon. It's just a good Shadow Ball.
Worm is just
And
a
then-
hard mon to answer.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we found to be a recurring theme.
Yeah, he had a dedicated mon for it, and that mon was needed elsewhere.
I do really like that the choice scarf Lickitung ends up clicking body slam a lot for a lot of mileage in this match.
Choice Specs. Oh, I forgot I got Choice
Is
Specs.
it Specs?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
that's
Specs.
a
Oh, it is Specs.
Slam.
Okay, even better.
Specs Body Slam. And then one more chance for the Agility Rock Polish, because that should outspeed the Darm. Oh, but it can't KO the Blastoise
Yeah,
without offense.
and that looks like it's not defensively invested, but I think Blastoise just has enough defense to just live a
Yeah.
close combat from an unboosted close combat from full.
If it was defensive, it would have done like
Then I think
50 or
it's
60.
Trailblaze Ogerpon here, which
Yeah.
kind of makes it look a little spicy.
It does. Yeah, you're right. Lumberry was shown. So the Trailblaze gives him a second chance.
But then Stomping Tantrum not killing, and
Roll.
this
Yeah.
is one of the reasons I had the calc out because I wanted to see if that was actually a roll.
Okay.
And I don't know his like Ogerpon's investment, but I'm just assuming like your regular garden
Jolly.
variety Jolteon.
Yep.
Um, let me see if Stomping Tantrum. So it is a roll, but it's a not a favorable roll.
Okay.
It's 86.3 to 101, so it's a 12.5% chance to OHKO.
Damn.
So he actually got a really good roll,
Mm-hmm.
but it just was not quite enough.
Inches.
Yeah. Which
If
leads me to
only that
believe that it probably wasn't going to kill the Darm anyway. I mean, if it was
Right.
scarfed, it wouldn't have mattered. But
Yeah, Darm's got to be bulkier than this.
if only he had gotten the stone axe off.
Oh yeah. Who
Wheezing had
removed it?
defogged.
Weezing defogged it.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And we actually never saw the Darm this match, so we don't know if it was banded or scarfed. But
yeah.
yeah,
Still a
after
pretty good game,
it was
all
a good
things
game.
considered.
It ended up being
Which
pretty close.
maybe it was a good game for certain reasons, but it's still a good game.
Hey, we got entertainers out there. What can I say?
That's right.
All right. We got this
All right,
great game. Yeah.
you want to break this one down?
Yeah, I'll break it down.
I'm curious to hear
Why-
like what your thoughts are. I mean, I know it was kind of a painful loss, but
This
there's
is
probably a lot of
just
stuff to break down.
so obvious in hindsight that when I'm bringing Swampert Cresselia every week, that Toxic is going to fold me. And I should have realized that as a team weakness. Um, let me remember what this team was.
You could try Lunar Blessing, maybe.
Oh yeah, I've used Lunar. I mean, I have Miltank for Mick for Heal Bell, but just
Yeah.
with the teams I've been bringing, it makes sense why this played out so well against me. So this team I have was it was four pivot moves: Swampert, Whimsicott, Volt Switch on Rotom, and U-turn on the Scarf Noivern. So I had like this super pivot heavy core, Specs Cresselia, and typical Haxorus. Um, oh yeah, started off with the Will-O-Wisp. I actually haven't rewatched this match. I felt pretty yucky after this one, so I haven't revisited it. But yeah, I didn't deal with the belly bolt well, and it got its toxics off. It got its toxics off, and after it lands on like the Swampert and somebody else like the Rotom or something, it was just so hard for me to
Did
claw
you
back from
did you
that.
have a toxic on this team or no?
No, I did not. So my only
Yeah.
real way to deal with the belly bolt was to hit it, leech seed it.
Yeah. Well, I was
Trick.
wondering if burn was like a detriment, but I guess in this case, like it was good to have some sort
Oh
of
no, yeah, it was the only
limit on it.
status.
I got you.
So I wasn't upset that it hit the belly bolt. I mean, after I threw it out once, I probably don't throw it. Probably shouldn't throw it out again. Because what he got his rocks, it's like, what's this thing staying in for? Maybe it body presses or uses a steel move, but the second Will-O-Wisp. Easy entry for the belly bolt.
Once Belly Bolt is burnt, it's pretty hard to take down.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's just so easy
Well,
to throw out toxic there. I didn't even bring
yeah.
any steel types. That was the second thing. I have 3 steel types on my roster, and I didn't bring any of them to this match. So it was
That
really
hurts.
just diffed from the start with the strat he brought versus the team comp I bought.
Yeah.
Just an oversight that I made.
It happens.
Oh yeah, and then this is pretty much a Scolipede story after this. And I was kind of prepared for the Scolipede. The Swampert was supposed to answer it if it didn't have a grass move. I don't remember if it gets a grass move. I think it does. But I'm already
Might
low
get
enough to this point to where this just the Mega Horn just off rip kills him.
Yeah.
And that's tough because this is like my best Belly Bolt answer, and I let it go pretty early.
Yeah.
I had the Scarf Noivern that I was really excited about. Infiltrator Scarf to beat like Sub. Air Slash did really well into this team, at least into like most of the Mons. This ended up being a pretty neutral team, especially with the Belly Bolt there.
hmm
What was the scarf specifically for? I think the scarf outspeeds. Yeah, like the scarf outspeeds a +1 Scolipede, so I was prepared for it. Um,
Yeah.
but he's got a mon advantage, and I don't know. Maybe susses out that I'm threatening him or that he can't kill me. Yeah, like I
So
take I
he's
take
here, huh?
rocks damage there, so it's clear that I'm not boots, so it's a pretty easy switch. And in hindsight,
Yeah,
I
I
should
guess
have been
that
pivoting.
is a good read.
But pivoting's hard here. Like clicking U-turn's hard here because it could be static belly bolt. In fact, it probably is. And without Hillbill, I can't afford to
Yeah.
let this guy get paralyzed. So,
Yeah, it hasn't shown electromorphosis, and I doubt it's damp, so I'm assuming it is static.
so clicking U-turn's risky. If I was even thinking that far ahead. All these nicknames were confusing. James, I think you had two nicknames, two Pokemon with the same nickname, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Yeah, nice going, buddy.
I I'm not gonna say that I haven't done that in this league so far,
Hey, not in this
but I will
video. Not in this
say
video.
not in this video. Yeah, so it didn't happen. It's ancient history now.
um, so come in with this John because she's got spec size shock, which does not enough. Seriously, not enough. And once that fails to kill, it's like the only option left on this team. I guess Hax has Earthquake, but he's not gonna let me hit him with
But
that.
Orthworm can just come in on your Earthquake,
Yeah.
resist your Dragon moves.
I think I get Cresselia back in for a trick later. We double. I have Blizzard Threat. Do I throw out Will-O-Wisp? Yeah. Will-O-Wisp is so good into his team. I mean, everything except
It
for the
is,
Belly
yeah.
Bolt and then Necrozma doesn't want to take it. So I'll trade that for rocks. Because he still switches out here. No, I even up the rocks. That's why I was fine to take it. So, in the end, it's burn for toxic, defog for spin. And given the position I'm in, it's actually really not a good
Yeah.
trade to
I
take another
think
toxic.
I think when I saw Toxic on Donphan, I started to realize like what James was about
Yep.
this week.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Like when I saw it wasn't just like a spin or some I don't know, rock move or something. I'm like, oh, I see the theme of this
Yeah,
team
I was
this
worried
week.
enough about the first toxic, and the second one I was like, I have no answers for this, and it was just downhill from here.
Yep.
I don't think I ever really got momentum built back. Some bad
Blizzard
misses,
Mist
whatever.
hurts.
He's threatening toxic again, so I go into Cresselia because I want to trick it. Yeah, I'm forced out. Um, Thankfully, Noivern's pretty good switch in. I got the rocks off. But he's seen me show Air Slash before, so he's not going to stay in. But it's tough because I always have to go Noivern first into the Scolipede because if it gets 2 speed boost, then I don't outspeed it anymore. But this thing just doesn't take damage from Air Slash, so it's kind of futile. I think I finally get a trick off. Oh, onto the Dawn fan. Yeah, that was my last chance of dealing with the Belly Bolt was to trick it.
Yeah.
I guess it helped with the Dawn fan, but this thing just owned me for the rest of the game. Get the low health Lunar Dance off. I stored it for later, but I missed the Leech Seed.
Yeah.
And at this point, it was over. I mistakenly thought Cotton Guard would be enough because in prep,
Yeah.
I took like 20% from a Dawn fan gunk shot. I was like, oh yeah, Cotton Guard just, OP. But not
Yeah.
against Stab, Sword Stance, Poison Jab. Not happening.
Yeah. And I think like it's a fair like just like all right, well my back is against the wall. Let's see what I can do. Maxing out my defense here, and maybe it doesn't have poison coverage. Like if you have 3 steel types, maybe you take Mega Horn and 2 other coverage moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might not even be poison jab. So I mean, like I respect it. It's just unfortunate that it ended up rolling this way.
Yeah, and it just about clears. I do get my Lunar Dance here. Did I? Did I never get the Lunar
You
Dance?
got it on
Oh,
the
the
Rotom.
Rotom. Yeah, the Rotom was
Yeah.
full. I do love that little mechanic.
It was very cool.
Didn't matter
But
there because yeah, the +2 Mega Horn. I needed a miss or something, but even then, like I didn't have any steam. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
hacks can just like 6-0 some teams, but not a full health Orthworm, not.
Healthy Don fan.
Yeah, I mean the
Yeah.
whole team's healthy. I don't have
So,
Bryce.
in hindsight, is there anything that you feel like you kind of over prep for, or anything you would have brought
Um,
in hindsight?
I mean, I'm never not bringing Heel Bell again, especially without my steel types.
Yeah.
I gotta. Oh, it was the Grimmsnarl. This Whimsicott was meant to come in and sit on Grimmsnarl. It was
Okay. I
Conic
gotcha.
Guard Leech Seed because I have Prankster. I can't use a lot of offensive Prankster moves because then he just switches in Grimmsnarl all the time and blocks it with his
Yeah.
Dark type, right?
It's really funny because I think you and Alex both expressed, prepping hard for Grimmsnarl, and I don't think he brought it in either of these weeks, and I
Yep.
think he traded it away this last
He
week.
did, yeah,
So,
which is crazy. It just it's
so
so overbearing in prep. Maybe it doesn't feel good to use. I think a similar Pokemon's Incineroar, where he always feels stronger on somebody else's team than yours.
yeah. Well, anything with Prankster is like really hard to deal with if you're planning on going any kind of like setup or just like a standard offense, because Prankster Thunderwave is pretty good at shutting stuff down.
Yep.
Prankster Screens is pretty good at getting their offense in safely,
Yeah.
so
It's like no matter what you have, Prankster Screens is always going to be decent.
yeah.
So yeah, there was no there was no Grimmsnarl, there was no Ogre Pawn. I think those were the
Hmm.
two I was expecting that I didn't see. The one I was most scared of was Typhlosion H, so I was glad it didn't come. But yeah, I just folded to the Toxic because I didn't have the right tools to deal with it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got Skanky Leg Boss. This is the ChatGPT team.
Yeah. There were some fun sets on Skanky's team in this game. Some real A+
This set
nicknames.
right here, sick.
Yeah.
The bulk up physical Thunderous that still just can't break the Gastrodon.
Gastron is just too thick.
Oh, the Citrus Berry. That's what activates
The
the
Citrus
aggro.
Berry for the
Oh, it does so
acrobatics.
much damage. Man, if they had
If
just,
he didn't get toxic, or if he had like a Lumberry,
or if you, I mean, Lumberry would have been good. If you bulk up a second time instead of that first crunch, and then
yeah.
your acro's doing like 70, or maybe like 80, 90.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think this thing ever gets past Magnezone in any conceivable universe as a physical acrobatic set.
What is it?
But
Crunch at +2.
Do we find out what its
yeah,
last move is?
Let's
No, we
see.
don't.
I'm not sure.
Which
It's
is
not
now.
there. Klefki sets some stuff. This guy comes in on Grass Knots. That Grass Knot does a lot. This
Actually, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess Magnusson's pretty heavy.
The Roserade did a
And
lot of work this
Roserade
match.
hurts.
could it have been Scarf? I mean, Spexed.
I don't think it was.
Let's see. He's
No,
still grass
'cause
knotting.
I
No,
know
it's
it's got
not.
Not
synthesis.
Specs.
Yeah.
Sludge Bomb. This is a big play coming
That
up. I like the Sludge Bomb fishing for the poison
that
here.
tri attack was a surprising amount of damage on Roserade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has really high special defense.
So he shows the
That's
Ice
it.
Beam here. And this is really good because what it does is it forces or invites the Dozo or the Harkonine to come in. Because it's like, oh, he has Ice Beam. Obviously, he's going to keep clicking that in my Roserade. So the Ice Beam invites Dozo or Arcanine, and Boz, with an excellent play here, gets the best case scenario, hits the T Wave on the switch in, and the biggest threat is neutralized for the rest of the
Arcanine
game.
is, yeah, paralyzed. Now it has trouble clicking any moves.
That's pretty huge.
The special defense drop was pretty big here, because now Gastro easily beats the Dozo.
It does so much damage now, 42.
Yeah.
And it's faster.
Yeah, after the curse, it's now faster too.
Thankfully, always has a switch in, but
Yeah.
Unboosted acrobatics doing 40.
not
That's
enough.
pretty nuts.
I feel like Gastro is really hard for physical attackers to break unless they have surprise grass coverage. I mean, if you just switch in Roserade, it's going to switch out to something else.
That's just about
Listen.
every water ground type. It seems they're just hard to get through.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right move.
I don't know, dude. My Quagsire has been eating grass moves every single week.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we think Thunderous's last move was an electric move or a fighting move?
I
Um,
actually don't know what physical moves it could get.
I don't. Does it get Supercell Slam? That's the new.
Oh, it
Like
does. Ooh, that would have been cool.
that might have been it.
It also gets Hammer Arm and Brick Break as well.
And Thunder Punch for a no drawback. Electric or Wild Charge. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, his physical move pool does not have a lot of options.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a gimmick set, and I'm actually I wonder if he just didn't know that Roserade just raw outspeeds there
Into the
because he
Sharpedo.
just
Oh, it's not
yeah
a max speed Sharpedo.
yeah. Well, I mean, like you can just click protect there and then threaten, but
Also
I don't know,
true.
maybe he just didn't expect.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter much in the end. But it was an
Um,
interesting little sequence.
yeah, because this Necrozma comes in, and this is an interesting Necrozma because I don't think it boosts at all. Really, does it? This Gastro is just unbreakable. That
I
Gastro
can't
just
recall.
carries
Yeah,
the
the
whole team.
The
Gastros.
Gastro Porygon combo is very hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the team's chipped enough, and the Arcanine is paralyzed, so Necrozma just comes in and sweeps. It never boosts, never
Yeah.
uses weakness policy.
Photon Geyser, which is one of the coolest animations in Showdown, by the way.
It's a little obnoxious.
It's extremely obnoxious, but it's like the base cannon.
Nice. Face melter.
Yep.
All right. Ooh, we got Trey RJ.
Yep.
This is RJ's first match with this team he took over that really
Yep.
leaves a lot to be desired. And
Bringing
again,
I think-
Rampardos, that takes some cojones.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that pretty much tells you that it's probably Trick Room.
Or it could be Scarfed Rampardos.
That's true, but I think just looking at a lot of RJ's lineup, it's pretty likely that we'll be looking at Trick Room.
yeah, like those last 3 months together. Just
Yeah,
off
they're all
rip.
slow.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he brings the same lineup to the next week. But anyway, so Electric Silvally kind of takes off here.
The Silvallis have been
And-
inspiring between Natho and Trey. These have been some good sets.
I think Silvally's just a really cool draft mon because just getting to kind of customize it or get a type that you really need to fill a niche in your team.
And just
It's
right off the
really
bat,
cool.
as soon as Trey hits that sword stance, RJ's like, I might be fucked. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he immediately realizes Caesar was not the move.
Yeah, because I mean, Silvally does get the flame charge, which he showed, and then he was like, okay, it doesn't do enough damage. Got to boost up some more.
I'm surprised. I mean, I guess he assumes that he can like chip it enough, but I'm surprised that he stays in after he
Sees
shows
the
flame
flows-
charge.
Flame charge, yeah.
It's like he knows that after he boosts that he can threaten an Oko and then start to sweep, but
I guess he
I mean-
wanted to try and get as much damage as he could on it there.
Now this is cruel. This is just unfair. The thick fat Appleton comes in and it's a hero, right? It survives an Ice Fang, but it gets frozen.
It's unlucky.
frozen apples.
Unjust.
Yeah.
And wait, he 4x resisted that multi attack, and it still did a quarter.
Yeah, no
The real
kidding.
hero is. I mean, actually, honestly, if RJ was going to keep the Caesar in, I'm surprised Trey didn't just max out his attack on the Silvally before starting to rip. It probably would have made this game a lot less close.
Close
but-
combat did a lot. He probably didn't want to take another one.
True.
I love that the 3 times attack Silvally is just shy of netting this KO.
Yeah.
And it
Because
really gives
all
RJ a
the other
second
fucker.
breath, second life. Because then he gets Big Boy
Yeah.
Rampardos in on Trick
Here
Room.
comes Rampardos. Dude, Rampardos under Trick Room is a scary mon.
But you know what? It's running Earthquake. I wonder if he even gets high
The
horsepower.
high horsepower is really cool.
Oh, Bulu with the high horsepower is really good.
Yeah.
He does not get high horsepower.
Oh yeah, so that Rampardos is just effed against grassy terrain. I guess there's not a. I mean, you still got to hit the Tentacruel with EQ. You got to hit the Diancie probably with
Yeah, it's
EQ.
still
You can
a
probably head smash a
huge.
Tentacruel.
Oh, for sure. Tentacruel is a lot more specially defensive. I don't know what Trey was running, if he was running like a physically defensive Tentacruel, but
And then the Thundy comes in, but it cannot speed the Electrode, so it's just
eyes
over.
to a Zen headbutt, which is crazy.
The Zen headbutt's great there. I mean, it covers. I can't believe it killed Electrode,
I
but it
know.
covers two
It's just
switch ins.
wild that it just raw 100 to zeros Electrode. I mean, I
Dude,
guess
and if
that's the Rampardos
Electrode's
effect.
that tank. Yeah, it's a Rampardos special. He's
Life
got
Orb.
crazy damage.
and Drain Punch to finish it.
Yeah. So fun game. I think Trey had a good control over it, but RJ kept it interesting for
Yeah,
sure.
I like the spin on the semi-rain team to just say fuck it. This is a Trick Room team now.
Yeah.
All right, we've
So
got
we got
Eden versus Nips.
yep. And so I think before we kind of get into this, I think Eden has kind of transitioned away from the Sun after like I think she went ahead and did some of the trades this last couple weeks. So
Yeah.
was it this match or the? I think these last two matches are like her last games
She
with the
did
Sun
not play
squad.
week 4, so this is the last time we see the Sun team, the full Sun
Okay,
team.
yeah, which is a shame. It's always cool. I mean, I ran a rain team in my first draft league with a lot of this group, and it's fun running weather, But I definitely understand that when you prep, it kind of feels like you're a little pigeonholed, and I don't know. In draft, like I think weather is strong. Just having an innate synergy with your team
Oh
is
yeah.
really good, but it does feel a little constricting. Like I always have to bring nine tails.
And your opponent always knows like 2 or 3 Pokemon that you're gonna bring.
Yeah, since
Yep,
you're bringing Ninetales, you're gonna always bring Venusaur and Slitherwing too with them.
yep,
So well prepped opening from Nips here with the Darm U-turn into the balloon, pretty clean there. Darm naturally outspeeds, so we don't know its item yet, whether it's Scarf or Band or something else. And the Crook gets scared out in the face of Cobalion, who's just setting up rocks.
yep.
And now the problems arrived.
Mm-hmm.
We've got this Hazard setting, clearing Toadstool in. It's packing Spore, and it is going to be tough to get rid of.
Yeah, I think taking the spore on Screamtail is smart. I don't think anything else in this team really wants to be put to sleep, and Screamtail's kind of, you know, the most expendable here. But
Maybe,
You lose your T Wave and your Rocks utility though.
and it also might be the best Darm answer. Although this isn't Tim Crocodile, it's already chipped, so like,
It's
there's
not
not.
taking a Flare
No,
Blitz anymore.
this
Yeah.
team's already so weak to Darm, just 8 turns in.
yeah, for sure.
So that might have
The
survived in full, but not once it's chipped.
Darm tax right there.
And then another one comes in and dies. So I guess we learned now that this Darm is
It's
scarfed.
scarfed
Yep.
for sure.
I
High
guess
Speed Thunderous, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like nothing else wants to take a Scarf Flare Blitz
No.
anyway. I mean, I guess Intimidate
You
Crocodile is your
definitely
best.
can't send out Ninetales, or then the Flare Blitz just gets stronger.
Yeah.
So coming in to threaten
So it's
first
Going
impression.
for first impression, that's your only play here, right?
Yeah.
Switches out into the Quillfish.
But
No
reads
first
the switch
impression.
out. I guess just threatening the first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
think Slitherwing is because Darm is like base 90, 95, right?
mhm.
So Slitherwing is slow. I think the only thing Darm should have been afraid of there was like a banded first impression,
Mhm.
which I know all about
Might
that
have.
after this
Oh,
last
yeah.
week.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I mean, like again, when he's in this position, you don't like you can play to, take a greedy switch to protect your Darm.
Oh,
But
absolutely. And the Quillfish just seems to completely wall the Slitherwing. I like the close combat because that's at least an attempt to be like, okay, I'm behind, but I'm not going to play like it, and still making aggressive reads. Like, Cobalion's a great switch into the bug type there. Unfortunately, so the Quillfish.
yeah. Nips has been using Coolfish really well. I've really enjoyed watching him bring this kind of like underrated mon and just bring it into teams where it can, its typing does a lot of work for it.
It's typing. It's intimidate. The Toad Scroll does get taken down there, but the Crocodile's left wide open, and now there's nothing standing in the way of the Darm.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if that's what ends up finishing this match.
No, this match actually had a really interesting end with the Trace interaction. I don't know if you remember that.
Trace comes in. It's not allowed to trace
It can't trace
photosynthesis.
Can't trace photosynthesis.
But instead of it like just not happening, it happens later, which is crazy.
It stores like the lunar blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it takes chlorophyll, which I'm pretty sure matters because I think does Gardevoir has actually I'm not sure.
Gardevoir has higher base speed than Venusaur. Venusaur is
they're the same.
slow.
They're both 90 or 85.
Oh, they're both 80 actually.
Both 80.
Are they tied at 80?
Mm-hmm.
I think this Gardevoir might be scarfed though, because it outsped the Slitherwing.
Okay.
And Psyshock destroys both Slitherwing and Venusaur.
Slitherwing
But still, that's a really cool,
may
really
have
cool
not
interaction.
been. Oh, it's hard to say. Anyway, dude, Trace is such a cool draft ability to use.
It is.
You can
yeah.
just bring it against the Sun team and know that you're going to get a chlorophyll, or bring it against the Rain team, and very sick.
Yeah. And I don't know if like he planned that at all, but it was a pretty stylish way to finish this match.
Yeah,
Just a clean
for
game
sure.
by Nips.
Okay,
All right,
this is the last match of week 3, and this is Regipeter versus Natho.
Yeah. So in this match, I was surprised to not see Talonflame or Duraludon. I was kind of expecting both of them. I was worried about the Golisopod, and so I wasn't happy it was here.
Yeah, that thing can get out of control fast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So here I kind of expected the taunt because I really wanted the rocks here,
Mhm.
but since the taunt was probably coming, I just went for the body press.
And this is so sick that you have this 4x move sitting in the back.
Yeah.
Um,
And since this golem was made to stop Duraludon, he had no defense investment at all. It was all special defense.
Jeez.
So just raw, almost one shots. Just pretty sweet.
The base defense is pretty good for him.
That is true.
Gotta respect the golem.
Yeah. The
Crit
crit
knockoff
hurt pretty bad.
hurtful.
Good Volt Switch, because you have the chance to come back in later and get some rocks. Maybe. I mean, the crit does hurt that a lot.
Yeah. And so here it's like, well, I can't have Gallade setting up on me. I kind of need to just foul play. I can't switch out or do anything else. And he's just going for the Sacred Sword. Another Sacred Sword wouldn't hurt that bad until that berry, and I'm like, oh, okay. My Mandibuzz is kind of sacked now, too.
The pinch berry means he just
Yeah.
takes this thing out with it.
Yeah, I was saying like this is probably the cleanest shutdown on Peter's Gallade so far this entire league.
Mhm.
So kudos to you for that. It's been a menace in pretty much every single other week it showed up. So at this point, I was actually thinking like, wow, like Nathan just put away the Gallade like nothing. Like he's looking pretty good here. And
Yeah, I was very scared of the Golisopod. But
Yeah.
here, the Raikou, that's a free switch for my Zarude.
Oh, yeah, Scald, Hyper Voice, T. Oh, you do take the sack, though.
Yeah, I wanted to
Got it.
make sure I wasn't getting a burn on Zarude.
Mm-hmm. That's, yeah, good thinking.
okay.
Or like a paralyze or something. I wanted a clean switch on him. So I had a lot of special defense, so I could set up on the Raikou.
Yeah, and setup you do with the bulk up. The Ores feel
I bulk up, I get a bit of healing in, and then I Trailblaze. And then
and now you're
now
scary.
Zarude is looking really scary. The only thing that could stop him here is the first impression from Golisopod.
Right.
Instead of the first impression, though, Swords Dance comes out, and as soon as I saw that, I knew the match was over.
That's tough. That's tough. That's a super good play by Peter. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, you click something there. I mean, you hit it.
If I do knockoff, he goes below half, he loses his turn. He just switches out. And then Zarude finishes the sweep.
Yeah, the alternative is you sack to first impression, but then where do you go after that?
Yeah. Well, if there's no first impression, both Aerodactyl and Niligo had the defense evs to take +0 Aqua Jet.
Mm, damn.
So I was paying my respect to Golisopod, but I was not paying respect to Swords Dance Golisopod.
Yep.
And it just had the perfect coverage.
Yeah. I would have needed a healthy Mandibuzz to stop it, but the Gallade made sure that wasn't there.
Dude, and the liquidation does so much too. Man,
Mm-hmm.
good use of that set. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big
Aqua
Source
Jet
Dance
is
and wins for it.
really good into a lot of the like fast bond, like Nihilego and Aerodactyl. It even probably chunks Nidoqueen pretty hard.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was why I had defense ev'd both of them pretty
right,
heavily.
yeah, it was a good read by Peter for the Swords Dance.
Yeah.
It was a good match. I definitely like once you had Gallade put away, like Gallade and Raikou. I was like, oh man, like this is looking really sweet. It's just he had the right set to pull it out.
Yeah, if I just went for the knockoff, would have been a very different match.
These nicknames are crazy, bro.
Yeah. Also, the notably the muscle band on the Golisopod, that was an interesting held item.
I
You don't
know.
see that one very
Yeah,
much
he didn't want a life orb because then he could cut his
because
own sweep short.
emergency exit. Yeah, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
smart item.
Yeah.
Very niche, like the Pokemon itself. But yeah, fun match.
Okay, going into week 2, we have Peter with the doubleheader. Peter against Astro.
This was a really good game in my opinion.
The Astro had just swapped his team to electric terrain here, right?
Yeah, this is the first time we're seeing the electric train come out for Astro.
So he's got
Yep.
the 2 future mons with the pink urchin.
Yeah, so they're
Yep.
constantly going to be triggering. He's got 3 of them.
He's got 3
That
Paradox
wait,
mons, but
that's
one
a
is
fast
one's an
right?
imposter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
one.
that one's a photosynthesis mon. Yeah.
But Peter came prepared for the electric terrain because that
This
Raikou,
Raikou's Volt Switches in the electric terrain are very powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
just tears apart the team.
Andrew makes a
Okay.
pretty good switch early.
Yeah, that is a really good call. Getting that flying type in on the earthquake, and
Yeah.
we see the Scolipede. I was about to say Golisopod. Scolipede from Peter for the first time, running that speed boost Swords Dance set.
Yeah. Well, I think he brought it against Nathan. I just don't think it ever came out.
Yeah, it
right.
never came out.
Yeah.
The rock slide
The rock
dodge.
slide.
I doubt it would have done
It
very
would've been
much
like
at all
17,
to
25 at most.
Yeah.
Maybe less. Yeah.
So I think he's got poison jab here, which gets with the poison proc gets the Oko
Poison
pretty
proc
sweet.
2 is just one shot on the dash bun. Pretty sick.
Yeah. Here comes Pincurchin. I really liked how Andrew used Pincurchin in this match. He had a lot of like he was able to preserve it even at low HP and it made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it took that Sacred Sword. We have all been seeing every week how much damage this Sacred Sword does.
Yeah.
So he's
There's
using
the
Wish to get his Mons in safely.
Wish.
Very nice.
Yeah.
The problem here is he said electric terrain, and he's not getting the Mons that use it.
They are scared to come in on the Gallade, so as long as the Gallade's out, he doesn't want to
Mhm.
switch them in.
We do
But
see
here
that
he
it's
has a
terrain
nice
similar.
Hydro Pump on the switch.
Oh yeah, that is a good
Mhm.
one.
And I think this is actually we don't know it yet, but this is a good sign that Gallade doesn't have any crazy coverage. Because I think Gallade takes one attack from Starmie, and if it has like X Scissor or Leaf Blade or something, it
Mhm.
just retaliates and KOs here. But since it switches out, it's in hindsight kind of a good sign that it's probably got 2 other non-attacking moves or like support moves.
It's not possibly
Um,
choiced, is it?
I don't think so. I think we've seen it switch between Psycho and
No.
Sacred Sword, yeah.
Have we?
have we? I'd have to go back, but
So here he Sacred Swords.
Sacred. And then
Green Tail
he
comes in, he Sacred Swords.
And he
Sword
switches out of the
and
Scream
switches
Tail.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it could be choiced. I mean, that resistance, I don't know to think. Robert, maybe you could
Yeah,
calculate.
if he's choiced into Psycho Cut, he would switch out here because the Starmie will 2-hit KO before Gallade does.
I know in hindsight that this is kind of definitely not a standard Gallade spread since we know the item in the set.
Oh, we do see it. You're right, we do see it. I forgot we do see
Did it switch?
it. We totally know what it is. Yeah, it
Okay.
hits the Hydra on the switch. We see lefties. I guess analytics still makes sense for most of these matches. I don't know if that's what ripped there, but with the grass knot, it just doesn't matter. I think that thing was going down in one hit regardless.
Hmm.
And Raikou comes in, and the story of this game for me is that Raikou uses, for the rest of this game, Raikou uses electric terrain better than Andrew's team does.
Yeah. He's just
Yeah, these
ripping
volt switches
scarf
are
volt
brutal.
switches.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the Pincurchin weekend, nothing can come in on it. He does, like you said, Robert, he does do a good job of like flashing it at low HP, just get that surge back
Yeah.
up.
And, sacking the Starmie there gives Pincurchin a free in so it can pop back out,
True.
so he can get at least 2 more terrains this match.
Mm-hmm.
But it's rough because he's got nothing that really wants to take a Volt Switch besides, I guess, Screamtail or Iron
Yeah.
Thorns.
Or like a
But
healthy Pincurchin. Maybe.
yeah, or like send it into sack.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's rough.
Andrew might need to consider bringing a ground type into strong electric Pokemon.
But then we see the Aura Sphere, which probably unnecessary. I mean, I guess maybe it's looking for the Iron Thorns.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
terrain is up, so he's expecting
Thorns
a
Jug,
Paradox
yeah.
Mon out.
Yep. So he
Facade
sacks.
on Guts.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's pretty cool tech.
It just like
Yeah.
does big old damage with its 4 attacks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Brave Bird next kill. This is a good entry for Jug.
Yeah. So this is the Earth Power, and I can only assume that he's expecting a switch out into Raikou, and I think he's fishing for this pretty hard because he knows how much of a threat Raikou is to the team,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah, he
guess that
needs
he's
Raikou
expecting that Talonflame will switch out expecting like a Hurricane.
Well, yeah. T Flame knows it's slower because of a Cork Drive. So you're hoping, Andrew's hoping that this doesn't U-turn. It's like hopefully scared out by other moves. But the fact that he does stay in, dodges the Earth Power, and gets the U-turn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that was
rough.
just unfortunate.
Yeah, I see the vision trying to hit the Raikou or maybe even the Gallade, but probably the Raikou
Yeah,
there.
does he lose the Jugulus here in this next turn? I can't
I
remember.
think it dies to Volt Switch.
Oh no,
he
he
switches
switches
out.
out. Okay.
Because we know Raikou's scarfed into Volt Switch.
And this is
So
where
this is where, yeah,
This
we
is
can
where
see
the
what's really
Gallade
going on
reveals
here.
himself to be fucked.
Oh yeah,
the
Trick
room service, which is awesome tech, really
And I
cool
believe
set.
Trey did love this set.
That's
And
Tree.
yeah, Trey loves it, and it has X Scissor, which it did not show earlier on the Starmie. So Peter's really playing these long cons here. He
Yeah.
kept this Mon healthy. He got use out of it early. He kept it healthy to come in late and switch. I mean, really well done.
Yeah, and that's the dangerous thing about Gallade, man. It's like if you don't know all 4 of its moves, it's really hard to play around.
The Jigglypuff comes in, but it's too little, too late, and it's just over.
What did he trick onto it?
Choice Scarf.
Scarf.
So this
Scarf.
Yeah.
was
It's
yeah,
X scissoring, which he doesn't have a good switch in for that.
mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool Gallade win.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he did have the X Scissor, which I'm surprised he didn't X Scissor the Starmie, but I guess he
Army
was,
was faster. He was going to take a Hydro Pump,
yeah. Gallade
which
has
he
good
does
special
take,
defense,
but not very well.
but I think he wanted to have a safer sweep at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter knows his team better than I do, so he obviously I think he made the right play at the end, but yeah. Cool set, really good game.
Okay, we've got Trey against Silly Nips.
This one felt really bad watching as a big fan of Muck fan.
A Muck fan.
I think that might
There
have
were
been
a lot of misses in this game.
one of the few hurricanes that hit in this game.
It's on a mon. It doesn't do anything to.
Yeah.
So, pretty quickly, we're going to see this game plan develop from Nips. We've got walls, we've got phasing, and pretty soon we're going to have some hazards too, and that kind of sets the pace for the whole match.
Yeah. So
Quillfish finds its
Nips,
entry point, and it's spikes time, baby.
yeah, and it works out really well because I don't think Trey has any hazard clearing on his team, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he could have defog on the scarf, um,
Jug.
iron
Jugulus,
jug,
yeah.
but I don't know.
Interesting
Um,
interaction here is that after the match, Nips said that he meant to have Intimidate on Quillfish, but Intimidate procs Guard Dog, which instead of getting intimidated gives him +1 attack. So had
oh,
Nips not messed that up,
it
or
would have
taken the ability he planned to, this Okie Dokie would have been hitting a little bit harder. It might not have even been forced out
interesting.
there.
Yeah, yeah. This was a weird match for sure.
And this is a little bit of an ugly switch. Maybe he's predicting a double here, but I don't know why you would if it's setting up spikes.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Trey is definitely. I don't know if he was doing this intentionally, but he's pulling Bulu in a lot, and I think that's kind of. He realizes he doesn't have a phaser, and so he's trying to keep grassy terrain up. I think
mm-hmm.
a lot,
Keep his team healthy.
um, which did a lot of work for sure. But fortunately, Bulu does not move anywhere offensively against a lot of Nips's team,
Right.
so it's just a lot of switching in and out.
Nasty taunt on the Reggie Steel forces it out. Oh, and these misses hurt
There's,
because these are
Yeah,
probably
that
doing
hurricane would have hurt.
70
yep,
plus. Misses
there's
again.
another one.
Not to mention the confused chance.
Yep.
And now these spikes are a big problem. So you're right. He is getting the Bulu in as often as possible to try to get his healing going. Um, but really, he doesn't have the offense to break these walls.
Yeah.
I think we see
Yeah.
Diancie show like a little bit of hope. I don't know if it's here or later. It must be later.
Rocks is good. The toxic
Now,
switch is
now that
nice.
he's got, now that this is poisoned, he can pretty consistently switch it into the Quillfish. Its last move could
Yeah.
be, I don't know if we see it later, Explosion, Debond, Poison, Aqua Jet. Um,
Yeah.
most of which, I don't know, Jug's not too scared as long as it's outspeeding the Quillfish.
Yeah. And it's also flying, so it doesn't. There's another
Yeah.
hurricane miss. That's I think 4 misses so far.
Um, three
Or he hit the first
misses.
one,
Yeah, one miss.
so 3 misses.
And yeah, these spikes are just taking so much away from most of these mons.
Yeah. And I mean, this is kind of like your match
I was thinking
against
the same
James with the
thing.
toxic. Um, where it's like it's kind of just a prep diff. And sometimes you look into them, it's like, oh, well, that's just kind of lame. Like there wasn't really even a match. Like it wasn't really competitive just because there was just like a strat that the other player wasn't prepared for. But it just in draft league, sometimes this kind of stuff happens, and it keeps you honest. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing these because usually they're really good for like showing the other player like, oh, like this is a hole in my team, that I have to be prepared for.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
usually like the player that gets put on the receiving end of these, like annoying looking strats usually comes out with a, you know, better perspective on how to build
Yeah.
their team.
It, it's
Not
it,
that I thought Trey really had a bad team, but he got unlucky at a lot of this game. But
right. Yeah, and these defensive play styles, like complain as we might, I mean, they're good for the game, and like
yeah,
they keep teams honest. They keep offense in check.
yeah, they're valid.
Their chump checks. Oh, that U-turn not killing hurts. Oh, that hurts so much.
Yeah,
I guess okay, it ended up not mattering, but like if it had roosted there,
Drain is
imagine.
nice. Now this set was spicy. I will say the
Also, I
Darm
love
set
this.
here.
This is so good because what's really crucial here is that it takes 25% coming into the rocks.
Yeah,
Because without that, this Salakberry wouldn't proc. And we've got our first belly drum Darmanitan, and this thing is terrifying with that speed boost.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that was 100% calculated by Nips
Oh, it
to
had to
just
have
not
been.
have a spinner and then take rocks and then belly
Yeah.
drum down to a Salic.
Yeah, it's
If
pretty
it
well
wasn't
calculated.
calculated,
The
then
only problem here
I don't know. That's
is
cool.
that he kind of throws his Storm out there too early, even though it had like the prime setup opportunity. It's like you already
Yeah,
know he has Scarf Jug.
Ooh, yeah, it's gonna outspeed. And
Hmm.
luckily Trey doesn't miss this hurricane.
He doesn't. It probably could have been a Dark Pulse anyway, but this was
yeah.
Yeah.
pretty. I know, we've all been in his
He
shoes.
doesn't want to hit Justified
Well,
on Kabalion.
Fair.
yeah. Well, also, if I think it's pretty obvious he's Scarf at this point, and if he clicks Dark Pulse there, Cobalion switches in and then just
Mm-hmm.
SDs or does something for free, you
Yeah,
know.
really
So
valid. Um, and Hurricane does
it's another
much.
Hurricane.
Yep, that one hit. So overall, we're 7 Hurricanes hit 3, or hit.
Yeah, we're about to witness the second statistical anomaly in Trey's match where he, I think he clicks Diamond Storm after Trick Room. He clicks Diamond Storm 3 times and does not secure a boost on any of them.
Yeah, dude.
So
This mod sucks. This mod's ass. It's literally just coin flipping. Sometimes he'll just win the game. But if you're
yeah,
not, if
Yeah,
you're
this time
not,
it does not. See, if it had
yeah,
any boost, that waterfall would have done
it would have done
20%. It'd have
nothing.
twice as much health right
yeah.
now.
So
But even then, like
I
it's
really
still
I really like Diancie, but I don't think you can count on it as a win con unless it's really really good into the enemy team. You know, and I think Trey really likes the like the Trick Room weakness policy, which I think is a really good set into the right
yes.
team, and that
Mm-hmm.
can be really threatening. But yeah, when you're kind of going like your standard like support Diancie with like an alternate win con with like the Diamond Storm body press, it really is just like, do I get my boost? Then all right, I'm a threat. Do I not get my boost? Okay, like I'm kind of just useless.
Yeah. I
Um,
will say though, I don't think these defense boosts matter because it's already at 50%. It catches the toxic. Anything Cobalion does is going to kill it. I mean, even if
yeah,
it has
yeah.
30 health
All
instead of.
Nips has to do here is just like fight this thing outside of Trick Room, and it can't do anything
Mhm.
basically. And with the toxic, it's already
Yeah.
it's
That
a
is
done
a.
deal.
That's an interesting sword stance because if this thing has like body press or something, it's probably doing half of his health.
It likely has body press.
It should.
Yeah.
But I guess he finds the trick room more valuable here because that's the only way the rest of his team can deal with Cobalion.
Yeah. Well, maybe he calced it and knew that it wasn't killing with body press here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does Toxic kill it here?
Yes.
Like, we
Yeah.
don't see a body press.
It
Okay, yeah.
uses the
Trick room on his
trick
dying
room
breath.
to get a free switch in
Yeah.
for the rest of his
I mean,
team.
he probably.
Yeah, and then Melodic actually takes advantage of Trick Room here, I think. I think it outspeeds. Or, no? I don't know.
No, the Shandy's slower. No, actually, it's Dragon Tail. You're
Oh,
right,
it was Dragon Tail. Okay.
which does not affect
Yeah.
subs, and the energy ball just does not do enough damage, and the Scald freaking
Yeah.
does.
Oh, yeah.
This Chandelier
And so
set could have been.
it looked like Registeel might actually have like an angle here. Because if you get
Yeah.
like if you allow it to set up like a body press or two here, like it
Mhm.
might just be able to like click its way to win here.
Yeah, rest out of range of Gardevoir.
Get out of
maybe.
range of close combat, and then you might have a chance here. Um, so the Skull doesn't kill. It shows rest here,
Yep.
so that's really good. It's Resto Chesto.
And one of the few things that could have stopped him at this point is the trick, and he gets it.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um, so really clutch there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Trey would have had to make some crazy read to hit the Gardevoir on the switch to prevent that. But I think the
Yeah,
iron
for
defense
sure.
was pretty obvious. It was almost like, I mean, from Trey's perspective, it's like obviously the best move in that position.
Yeah.
Unless you're expecting the switch into the trick. And then Cobalion gets free setup because this thing can't click body press, and it's just Ogre.
Yeah, and this thing outspeeds both of his mons, so
Pretty dumb. Done at that point.
yeah.
I
I mean,
yeah.
I'd say Trey played it pretty well, considering all of the setbacks he had,
Yeah.
I guess we'll
There
say.
was a lot of nonsense in this match.
I definitely liked Nips's approach here. I like the hazard or the phasing kind of style. I don't think we've seen anyone really do anything like that in this league yet. So that was interesting. The belly drummed arm was cool.
Yeah.
So
The belly drum arm was very cool, and I do like this team variety and bringing the defensive hazard stack.
Yeah.
Got to keep them honest. Okay, we've got Chad against RJ. RJ's second match. These teams are just getting more and more ridiculous. I mean, these are not the best Pokemon on Chad's roster. This is a crazy team to have brought.
yeah. Yeah. So it looks like I think this is Pokemon for Pokemon, the exact same team that RJ brought last week.
Yes, it is. Yeah, even the order's the same, so not a lot of changes.
Yeah. So we're expecting a similar strat.
Safe guess. He's got these this like defensive wall, this defensive core of Appleton, Porygon.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that he keeps running download is pretty interesting. I mean, he is getting these good special attack boosts, but Trace can have some really good applications. Like Trace in a Punk Rock is really good. Would mean he takes less damage from the Tox.
Punk Rock works defensively too, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I didn't even think about
less
that.
from sound-based moves.
That's cool.
Maybe not so great against the rest of these mons, Trace, but it's just such a fun draft ability because you kind of know what you have in store for you before you start.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think once it reveals its only attack and its mono attacking set, it's kind of cool seeing what he was going for.
Oh yeah. So he gets the Trick Room. I mean, it tanks that body press like a champ. Trick Room into the Caesar is pretty safe here. And he gets an opportunity to start making some progress, and this Blastoise is just so thick.
Yeah, so this is a full tank Blastoise, as you can see.
Wall Might, good name.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the first time I watched this match, something I wanted to note real quick, if you could pause real quick, is I think, I don't know if Chad planned for this, like knowing he'd be playing into Trick Room, but I think the Diggersby actually made really good use of the Trick Room.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just slow enough that it could kind of handle a lot of the threats under Trick Room safely. It also had quick attack, that it could chip down like the lower Trick Room sweepers. I think it did a lot of good work on a Trick Room this game. We'll have to kind of see as it plays out, but
yeah. We do have a gamer alert going off.
Yeah.
We're gonna see in a second. You're right. Outspeeds with knockoff in Trick Room.
Specs
Underspeeds. We got Specs motherfucking explosion. Baller, dude. Very cool.
That is the most damage you'll see a Specs Magnezone do to a ground type in Draft League.
Oh yeah. Now it's time for the Porygon to go to work. That Toxic's so tough to deal with, though. Oh no, it's not time.
So here comes Rampardos. Clean and easy.
Yep.
Kill right there.
Using that base 160
Supercell
attack very
Slam.
well.
Supercell Slam.
Dude, these sets are so cool.
He takes half his health and recoil from that hit.
It was so wrong for Blastoise to have survived that and gotten off another Toxic. Just evil. Pokemon gods for not smiling upon us this day.
I can't believe Chad is a dirty Toxic spammer. What the heck? Not an entertainer of the people.
Is that the next move we're banning from the league? Toxic?
Toxic! Oh no. Toxic is a necessary evil.
Toxic is a necessary evil.
We can also ban all one-turn recovery moves.
Rest only.
Yeah.
So I think this is where we start seeing the Porygon sauce.
Oh yeah.
Get some Trick Room again.
Now this
and here's Charge Beam.
is so close.
So now you're looking
cool.
at a +2 Porygon, but he has a ground type, so unfortunately, yeah.
one attack Porygon does not do anything when its one attack is electric.
But honestly,
Yeah.
Porygon's done a lot here. The only problem is that Diggersby is still fast. Or at least it still
Yep.
hurts.
The quick attack does the job.
Diggersby is
Shifted
a
enough.
scary mon.
And then it underspeeds this guy,
Mm-hmm.
who's the last hope.
And then
Accelerock cleans it up.
Picks up the win, yeah.
Slow Diggersby does it again.
Yeah, Diggersby putting a lot of work in this draft league.
This is Tibbs John.
Yeah, this is Icona Tips.
So this one was not seen by many of the Americans, I imagine, because I think it happened early Sunday morning in Central Time. But
Yeah.
it's a pretty good match.
This is a good one. Dude, Seviper is crazy. I did not expect this Pokemon to ever be seen.
Yeah.
Once again, Tibbs not bringing his best mons, but what a lineup. This is, I mean, I love this about Draft League. When you see people really use the, get creative with what they have available to them.
Uh-huh. So the Yu-Gi-Oh nicknames are a nice touch.
I also love the Yu-Gi-Oh turn. We love reading.
Yeah.
You turn, crit, frisk,
Yep.
frisk, trace, trace, frisk. So double U-turn right off the bat and gets Moonblast as Survivor.
51% resisted,
Yeah.
which
I mean, that
That
tells
had
us,
to be a Specs, right? What got knocked off?
Yeah, Specs, of course.
It
So
was
now
Specs,
it doesn't
yep.
kill. Staying in there in the first place is pretty crazy, but makes it worthwhile.
He could stay in safely now that the Specs weren't there.
I mean,
Yeah.
but the guard staying in for this Moonblast against a poison type is crazy because like Poison Jab or Poison Fang or Poison Tail or Poison, you know.
Gonk
yeah,
shot.
maybe he expected that the Seviper would switch, expecting Psychic.
Oh, and so
I'm
he was
guessing-
trying to read. Well, he doesn't have a dark
He
type.
brought the
to take
Survivor
Psychic.
in on the.
Okay, wait. Let
Guard.
me see this again.
Yeah, he switches the Survivor in on the Moonblast here.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
both
U-turns.
turn one, and he gets Survivor in on the guard, and guard stays in, which is brave.
Guard
but
stays in.
pays
Okay.
off.
Well, what's
Guard just
Noivern
expects
gonna do to
outspeed,
guard?
probably.
Northern expects
'Cause that's
outspeed.
probably-
Yeah.
That's probably timid max speed Gardevoir with specs, and so he expects to just outspeed here.
Surprised he doesn't click Psychic, because I mean the Survivor came in on purpose, so
Yeah, well, I think he expects a switch here.
like Body Slam isn't
It's
a great.
cool.
Yeah, you don't want to get paralyzed.
So I don't know. I feel like the Sword Stance was a little disrespectful, like because you're not
Yeah.
scaring out a Snorlax at half health.
Maybe so. I mean, I guess
At +2, the Poison Jab likely does a lot,
Yeah.
if not half.
the only thing Tentacruel can really set up safely on, or fairly safely on, is the Primarina, and I don't know. I guess he's just trying to preserve his two grass types for the Primarina.
I mean,
but
doesn't this work against Heracross? I mean, if it's defensive, but I guess it's not defensive.
Heracross
Heracross
also
also
gets
gets
Earthquake. Yeah.
Heracross might not always have the luxury of being Earthquake. When you have moves like, I mean, it's 4 move slot, right?
Yeah.
You have Bug Fighting,
that's true.
Trailblaze, Knockoff.
Well, I don't know
Stonehenge.
all of Icona's team,
Mhm.
but if Snorlax is packing Earthquake, then Heracross probably has Earthquake as well.
Anyway, loses
So,
the tent.
Huge crit right here.
This is a big
Yep.
crit, but in my mind, it's also not because he could have just clicked counter. I mean, okay, maybe you can't click counter because of the Sword Stance threat. So yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it might just Swords Dance on you again.
Mm-hmm.
Does that Pokemon get Swords Dance?
hmm
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Body
Sword
Slam.
Stance Trailblaze is pretty scary.
I mean, if it doesn't crit, it does what, 50%, and then dies to Heracross. Does this have a way of killing Hera? I don't know.
Probably not. And I think this Heracross was revealed to be Scarfed when it outsped the
You're
Electrode
right.
at the end.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Scarf,
so not-
Scarf Hera already wins from here with Scarf Bug Move. Game's already over unless this gets like.
If it
Two
misses its
Trailblazers.
Mega Horn, then yes.
Yeah.
Or if it does not miss its Mega Horn,
Mhm.
yeah.
It doesn't get any other Bug Move, huh? That would bring Leech Life. I think it gets.
It's bringing
Launch,
Mega Horn
but-
every game, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're bringing Heracross.
Yeah.
But also the Primarina was pretty tough to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Draining Kiss pretty good. Even the Roselli Berry wasn't enough.
Here comes the Pot of Greed.
You wanted to
Oh,
draw
yeah.
2 cards.
Another
and place them in
crit.
hand.
Another crit. Yeah.
Which ended up not mattering because the Scarf Hair is going to clean it anyway. But
But it allows him to click the accurate move.
true.
Instead of
True.
Mega Horn.
I mean,
yeah.
maybe he
Yeah.
still clicks the accurate move if it's at, what, 50%?
Well, I don't think. I think he gets 2 shots at the Electrode anyway, because I don't think Electrode has a move that can one shot.
Well, it matters
Hair
even less
across.
because it's going to kill itself to Life Orb. I mean, it
With
does
Life
kill
Orb.
itself to Life
Yeah,
Orb.
he doesn't even need a hit. As long as he lives
if
the
he
Thunderbolt.
explodes, he would lose, right?
I think that's the ruling on it.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, really fast match. Some unlucky rolls there. Just a lot of offense and clicking damage moves. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Came down to the wire. It was a good game.
All right, Alex 16 against James. This was a hot match. This one was good.
Yeah. Alex played very, very well this game, I think. I think Alex had a really great last couple weeks.
He
He's
had
definitely starting to-
some pretty good luck on turn 1 with the Cursed Body disable on the
Absolutely,
Choice
yeah.
Eruption.
Yeah, this Frostlass once again put in so much work.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So he gets a layer of spikes.
one and back
Yeah.
in wherever it came from, please.
You gotta run Coil if you want Rock Blast.
Dude, Nathan, what are you running Coil Earthworm?
It's been too good with literally 1 attack.
I can't imagine running multi-hit moves without skill link or dice anymore. I just feel so spoiled by it. I mean, I know I'm abusing Scale Shot to get easy wins, but I've had enough
I feel
shitty
you.
Rock Blast to know not to depend on it.
Yeah. Now, I will say I have been a Belly Bolt believer. I have to say, like, every time I see this Pokemon, it looks like it's punching way above its weight. But this game, it looked pretty sad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it just didn't have, like, good coverage, but we'll see in a second.
It doesn't get coverage to hit grass types. All
Yeah.
it can do is try to Chilling Water to lower its attack, but the Chilling Water can't even break the sub, so he gets to +6
Yeah, this is rough.
Yeah.
for free.
And it looks like we're in business here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Quark Drive Speed +6 behind a sub. Lots of things are getting hurt right now.
Why does this Typhlosion come in? That's a throw. That's a throwaway.
It was Scarf. It was Scarf Typhlosion. He
Yeah,
was
but
hoping
it's-
to break the sub, so this Mind Shao could use its Scarf U-turn.
Yeah, but this thing is booster energy and faster. So I mean, it would have had to be.
I will say, I do like the Scarf, like the U-turn to break the sub and then get the switch into something else.
Oh
to
yeah,
preserve
this is clean.
info.
This is clean.
Yeah. So he has to
Sack
just
the
sack
Earthworm.
something. So he loses 3 Mons to this
And now he
Iron
threatens and
Leaf
can force
right
it out.
here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's forced out. But Gyarados is going to eat the U-turn all day.
But at this point, you're put so far back on the back foot that it's like, this is Alex's game to lose at this point.
Mm-hmm. 3 layers of spikes. 3 Mondstadt. Even if the Typhlosion's alive
Non-table.
at this point, it's like the things that beat Typhlosion are still alive.
Yeah. And I think James was saying in chat that he did not prep for Gyarados at all. And
This is
I don't
such
think
a
the Gyarados,
cool
like-
era. This is so cool. I love
This
this.
is what
Yeah.
Gyarados
half
will do when you
support,
do not prep for him.
But also, like,
Well-
if you don't prep, if you're not ready for it, it's gonna DD.
Yeah.
That's the
And
thing with
he
Dragon
only
Dance,
needs
man.
Waterfall after the DD.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Once the Earthworm is down, there's not really anything that can take a hit from him well.
Belly bolts down.
Yeah, the 2 big physical walls are down, and so Gyarados now can just click Waterfall.
And this is even better because the 2 Mons that want to come in on it, these 2 meatballs, both like get crippled by
Yeah.
Toxic. So
I'm kind of wondering if he should have even pressed Dragon Dance one more time. Just so you get
He
Gyarados.
would have outsped the Mind Shao, probably.
you're risking
Yeah.
like a rock move.
A rock move.
Yeah. Could have Stone Edge.
But
Yeah, possibly.
He only has knockoff for coverage.
Cyclozar sack.
Yeah. So I like
bring
that.
in whatever you want here.
And it's a
I don't
Scarf
know why
Mind
it
Shao,
was,
we know.
I don't know why this was the answer. I mean, Rabambi comes
Yeah,
in.
Rabambi would take about 1 damage from that close
But I
combat.
guess, oh yeah, we knew it was scarfed. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. I mean, Alex won the game already, basically
Yeah,
off
it's
the.
it's
Yeah.
I think the
over.
display against the Iron Leaves. I mean, the Frostlass was huge. The Curse Body was lucky, and the Gyarados
Yeah.
was just sick. That was just a cool.
I
Set.
do really
This
like
is a really
Oh
yeah,
no justice.
a
Yeah,
For,
nice
the agility,
Dunsparce set. He even
protect for
protects the
the
first impression, but unfortunately
yeah.
it has Sucker Punch too.
yeah,
So.
really cool Dunsparce set, but I think Garrett takes the cake for that match.
Yeah. Well handled
Not the
by
Iron
Alex,
Leaves.
for sure.
I mean, the Iron Leaves was born special. You know, he was.
Gyarados earned that from Gen
That's
1.
right. Yeah, he worked for that.
Okay.
He's gonna Sacred Fire because that's what this Pokemon
Because-
does. Look at the
yeah,
Iron Head
if-
barely even being different. I mean, it's more
Yeah.
accurate, but
Mhm. Yeah. I think Sacred Fire is nice because it gets around the Rocky Helmet as well. It's physical, but it's not a contact
Mhm.
move.
Yeah.
good burn there.
And it also burns
Yeah.
on Flygon, which is pretty big. Flygon.
Very
and
rare.
really
gets the
have
flinch.
much
I mean, this
special.
Flygon just got cheated on. This isn't fair.
Yeah.
that was rough.
Yeah.
Could have hit like Trailblaze there again, to be honest. But I guess they're about to Life Orb out anyway, so whatever. I didn't like the Registeel there.
Yeah.
I
I
guess,
mean,
oh, you do get the
and-
rocks up,
Yeah, he gets the rocks up, which would be good.
But your burnt Flygon's pretty useless, and you're risking
Yeah.
a burn or a crit.
Or crit, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So-
And here's where it starts.
Yeah. So little backstory. So I ended up talking to Bombi after this game because he was talking to me about my game, and we were just kind of exchanging, strats and stuff, like what kind of went on in this match. And he designed this Yan Mega to come in on Registeel and just take its lunch money, because basically it will sit there and boost in front of your standard garden variety iron defense body press Registeel, who under any normal circumstances just sits in front of Yan Mega and does what it wants for free. But he's got Whirlwind on this thing, and I don't think it really even came into play. Like, I don't even think he revealed Whirlwind this game. But it's basically just supposed to phase out the Registeel once it's done, like, doing its thing, and then all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of this, like,
This is so
scary physical Yan Mega that's healing to full after every attack.
well done, Bobby. Your masterful
So,
team building. earned
The
you
only
another-
Yan Mega sweep I've ever seen, and also the
Yeah.
only Yan Mega Swords Dance I've ever seen.
Also-
I didn't even know he got that move.
Notably, no Darm this game.
from Nips.
No, this is the Ditzler, right? This is Cam.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so no Darm, which he has a 0% win rate without Darmanitan. So I don't know. Maybe he's carried by a certain fiery monkey.
The
Yeah,
allegations
we'll
are
see.
building. All right, we've got our last 3 matches are ours. Cool. Okay, let's take it home.
I say this, and
is...
I'm prepping myself for a Ditzing later in the season.
He's gonna not bring the monkey and beat you without the monkey.
I know.
All right,
Maybe
we
that's
got
like forehead.
Natho Skanky here. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, walk us through it.
So, yeah, I was expecting the Arcanine H. I was expecting pretty much everything he brought. I didn't do much prep for other mons. The Orthworm lead, I didn't want to get focus blasted. So I was like, okay, let's switch out to Silvally. Silvally Ground, who can also take the Thunderbolt easily, and then he just nasty plots and grass knots, and I'm really sad. I'm like, okay, well, we still have a trick up our sleeve with this Orthworm. We have Metal Burst.
Oh yeah, baby. That's Bastion's
So we
music?
take care of the Thunderous easily with that. Arcanine H comes out. I don't want anyone else to take that Flare Blitz, so I just sack.
Yep.
And we have Niligo, who I've scarfed and made just barely faster than Arcanine, so I'm just going to click Power Gem here.
Do you have Earth Power on this set or no?
I don't think Niligo gets Earth Power.
Oh, really? Huh. Does Power Gem even Oko the Arcanine?
The
Because
Arcanine,
I remember
yes.
Okay, because I remember watching this game and
It's stab. and
yeah,
everything.
but
This Pokemon really does not get
yeah,
Earth Power. I had to fact check
yeah.
it because that
I'm
sounded
surprised.
hard to believe, but no, it does not.
No, I would have definitely brought it. Instead, you got to bring like Grass Knot and then like just something random. Dazzling Gleam, Psychic. No, you don't get Dazzling Gleam.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
this
But anyway,
knockoff was so
This knockoff
sad
was the saddest moment of this set.
because
This
this Araquanid.
Araquanid was made to sit in front of Dondozo, infest it, Toxic, and laugh.
And instead, it's just gonna slowly bleed out because he doesn't have any healing.
Yeah. And so the Gudra has Thunderbolt. I have to switch out. He reads my switch into Nidoqueen and Scalds,
Such
and
a
then I
important
should have
read.
Earth Powered there, but the Ice Beam had a chance to kill Gudra,
Mm-hmm.
and so I needed that in case Gudra went for another Scald because I outsped.
Yeah.
Because his team was very slow. This was a good time to bring Nidoqueen.
Nidoqueen looks so good here because I mean it outsped almost everything, and if you can outspeed with Sheer Force, Life Orb, Modest, I mean you're just going to town.
Yeah,
But honestly, I think good job respecting your Nidoqueen and switching out there. Because you hadn't shown any moves yet, and this could just as easily been like, defensive rocks, T spikes, blah blah blah, whatever. So good job saving the Gudra there and gets a good switch. So yeah, just some really good reads here by Skanky early on in the game.
yeah. And then this was where Araquanid was made to shine.
This is so evil. This would have worked so well if you could have only healed. The Grassy Train
Yeah.
helped a little bit, but
And then I was expecting an attack here, and I wanted some Grassy Train healing, and then he Swords Danced.
yeah.
the Sludge Wave is good. I mean, this Scarf Sludge Wave caught him off guard. 'Cause I
Yeah,
think
this
he-
Scarf Sludge Wave is very strong. At +1, it was doing a lot to most of the mons. It finished off Gudra after 2 hits. And at +2, it could have killed everyone except the unaware Dozo.
Burn here sucks.
The burn here is whatever.
Yeah, just the
Like-
chip knows. But
Yeah, we're not going to take any physical moves from any of these 3 mons, though, so
That's
the
true,
chip
yeah.
doesn't really matter.
yeah, I mean, I think the most difficult thing is Dozo. You really need, like, you had the Araquanid set that was supposed to just like come in and eliminate the Dozo, but if you can't eliminate it through unconventional means, you basically need a special breaker, and all of your special breakers are weak to liquidation, so it's really hard to play around.
Yeah.
Nidoqueen
But
would've popped
now
him from
he's
this health.
low enough health to where Nidoqueen can just come in, Earth Power, finish the job.
Yeah,
And it's nice that Earth Power gets the job done because you don't have to play any guessing games.
Yeah, Earth Power would destroy Arcanine and really chunk Crook.
And this ended up being really close at the end. I can't believe the item that this Crocodile was holding.
I'm not sure if that crit mattered. Since it had Rocky Helmet, it was likely pretty defensive and Intimidate. So I think the crit might have mattered because I did have a good bit of physical defense investment.
I'm actually
Yeah, I think
pretty curious.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's brought this defensive crook every single week.
Because you could calc how much that Earthquake did and find out how much is invested in defense, throw the rest in the offense.
Yeah, because that was Jolly Bandit Earthquake, I believe. I can.
Oh,
pull
you were
up the team
banded?
real
Wait, I
quick.
thought you were scarfed? Or were you banded?
I was banded.
You were banded.
I was a lot faster than the rest of his team on Aerodactyl,
Yeah.
so I decided to go with the band. Yeah, it's Jolly Banded.
Jolly Bandit. And the dual wing beat into the freaking Rocky Helmet. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe
the
that.
Rocky Helmet. I was so sad about that.
Because in the knockoff was just enough to where another Earthquake wouldn't kill.
Wouldn't kill, yeah. Because it did right below 60, so it'd do a little below 40. So
Mhm.
unless I really low rolled the first Earthquake and then high rolled the second, it wouldn't work.
Right. Arcanine
But
could have
if I
been...
stayed into the Earthquake, the Arcanine definitely would have
It
died.
could have been scarfed. I don't think we didn't know that. Did it come in this game? Yeah, it came
No.
in. It came in.
He's
Actually, it
once,
did
dude.
come in, but Niligo scared it out.
So that
Well,
tells us it was
got sacked,
voiced.
yeah. Yeah, we don't know anything from that.
Yeah. So it could have been scarfed at the end, but it was close. I mean, really good call outs on the I think the Nasty Plot turn 1, and then the Scald and the Nidoqueen were the big moments in this game. And the
Yeah.
knockoff was good.
Knockoff into Araquanid. That was the real heartbreaker.
That yeah. If Araquanid had the leftovers, he was out. He was on the field a lot. He would have gotten a lot of healing from him.
Oh, especially once you got that grassy terrain healing going too.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice match. That was a close one at the end. Okay, moving on. We've got Boz ChatGPT against Robo.
Right. I'm really excited to talk about this match because I think I played pretty well mostly. There might have been a couple things or lines that would have been more optimal, but overall I'm really happy with how this one shook out. So
I posted a book emoji on turn 1.
Oh, yeah.
The turn one's so good. And like it makes
Yeah.
sense. It's probably not as hard of a read as we thought it was watching this live.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you got the Slitherwing out, and they've got this Scarf Magnezone.
We don't know it's
Yeah.
scarfed.
So this is a banded Slitherwing. This is the first week I've decided to run band, and it was really fun because this thing is just ripping into this team, as you'll see in a second. But basically, I think I was kind of expecting either Gastro or Lycan here in the lead slot. And so I was basically kind of just expecting to U-turn here into the threats that are more well-equipped to deal with them, get a good chunk in. But he leads into Magnezone, and so I'm like, okay, well, close combat is like the most obvious click here, and I should outspeed. And so I'm right now expecting a hard switch into Crobat. Because I think he assumes that I'm going to U-turn here, or maybe close combat, and Crobat covered those both pretty well. So it looks like a safe switch. He's even got the Scarf for the Volt Switch, which is important knowledge. So he gets a pretty good chunk on me, but I just rip the Wild Charge and get that Oko,
I love it.
which sets things off to a pretty good start. And I actually I make a pretty good switch here into the Diancie because normally you don't want to put Diancie in front of Magnezone because Flash Cannon, especially on a choice set, is pretty likely. But I'm expecting another Volt Switch, so I can get a pretty clean switch into the Diancie here. It takes the special hits much better than most of the other things on my team.
Yeah, and he's not clicking Flash Cannon into Slitherwing.
Yep.
Almost certainly.
So we get the switch into Gastrodon, and I bring out my Altaria, which I actually brought this week. It's good into Gastrodon, but it was mostly my answer to Blaziken, because Blaziken after a boost
about Blaziken.
actually does some pretty decent stuff
Yeah, I
into
can
this
see
team.
that firefight ground coverage would kind of run you.
Yeah, I'm normally pretty fire weak, and I'm bringing 2 bugs this week, so I'm super fire weak. So it looked like a pretty good Altaria angle, and I'm happy with how it kind of shook out. Altaria is also nice because I can come in on the only thing I fear from Gastrodon is Ice Beam, pretty much. But on a Chat GPT team, I'm expecting Scald Earth Power, Toxic Recover, pretty much. And that's, I think, probably one of the big weaknesses, because I think Boz's team, like, his roster is actually pretty solid. Like, he's got good Pokemon, and he's playing pretty well, but just, like, since he's, gone ahead and revealed that, like, I'm creating all of my Mons through ChatGPT every week, it's like, okay, like, you kind of prep for just the cookie cutter builds for each of these Pokemon,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what you expect to see. And so, like, if you plan around, like, the stereotypical what each of these Pokemon do, then it's a lot easier to navigate. So
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen enough creative builds from ChatGPT to really have a reason to play
it
otherwise.
has not cooked very much so far.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
I don't know if Boss wants to, augment it a little bit. But anyway, so I switch in Overquill into the Whimsicott. Overquill is a really great prankster answer because it's dark. It just kind of sits on this. It's especially good into the Whimsicott because it's a poison type and it threatens an Oko. And so this looks like a pretty clean angle to Sword Stance. and this is a Life Orb. So I've been running like Black Sludge, kind of defensive Overquill
Yep.
that like maybe can get a sweep or maybe can do some damage if it survives, but it's mostly just kind of like glue for the team or a pivot, something to get some good chip in. But this one, I really wanted to, you know, like Oko something, like Oko a threat or get some good chip in. So I went ahead and gave it a Life Orb. Life Orb, it also has Aqua Jet as well. So it was kind of like possible insurance against Blaziken or Lycan Rock. But I see the opportunity to Oko with Crunch there. And since Magnezone is a pretty big threat to my team, I take that to clear it.
Yeah, that mag is scary.
Um,
I was a little surprised the crunch kill, but like you said, the life orb and the different investment.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're boomers, man. We look at steel types and it's like, how can we kill this with
Yeah.
dark type moves?
It's
You
like
know?
this Quillfish clone would have never done that in Gen 4. I don't know how this happens.
Yeah. So I think I actually I could have either saved the Overquill here, or I could have chipped with the Aqua Jet, but I think I just end up sacking it here to Whimsicott.
Yeah, if you had Aqua
Um,
Jet, probably a good click there. But I guess you're what, covering in case he U-turns or something.
yeah. Well, I think I was just like, I don't know. I think that was a little bit of autopilot brain. Like I just like I see Grass Fairy, I click my
Poison.
poison stab, try to do as much damage before I die, and I could have chipped there, but
I like
ends up
trading the
being
rocks
fine.
here for the Leech Seed. That's no problem because you can switch out anyway. You
Yep.
got fortunate there with the stun
Yeah.
spore.
So I did get a little lucky. It is Heal Bell Diancie, so would not have been the end of the world if I got paralyzed there.
Mhm.
But I definitely did get lucky. That was, I don't know, maybe a greedy switch into the Metagross. I think this Metagross was designed to slow sweep his team because it has enough speed investment to outspeed his entire team after 2 Trailblazes. And so it's supposed to come in on something that can't really threaten it, hit 1 Trailblaze, and then be able to live to Trailblaze one more time, or like maybe
Survive
even
a
like
hit, Trailblaze second time.
catch a greedy switch into Gastrodon or something like that. And then at +2, I'm running over his entire team.
So-
It didn't play out that way.
Bulky or HP attack.
So it's adamant full attack with just enough speed to outspeed after 2 Trailblazes and then the rest into HP, I think.
Cool. I like this because his priority doesn't really scare you off
Yeah.
if you do get those
Um,
boosts.
So I come in, dodge another Stun Spore. Again, not the end of the world. This is Heal Bell. And I'm taking this up most of the time. so
And
I just...
Toxic's chipping away this whole time.
Yep. So Toxic ended up being a pretty huge click from the Altaria early on.
Yeah.
So this thing comes in, starts Calm Minding, and so this is a little scary because, I have to be careful. Like right now, I'm not too afraid of this thing unless I know it has Protect to counter First Impression.
Because like as long as it's not setting up defense, and I don't think it can, as long as it's calm minding, you always have this.
And even then, I think Slitherwing just outspeeds naturally. This is a
Yes.
max speed Slitherwing. So I'm not super afraid, but I also know that one of the few ways that I can throw this match is if I just randomly switch Slitherwing and like he just
Nukes
doesn't click Moonlight or Calm Mind. And so I don't know. If I was a little bit more daring, I probably could have, saved the Diancie and, kept it as a late game, protection against the Lycanroc, who actually kind of ended up being a huge threat to my team.
Yes. Yeah.
So I knew this thing could Swords Dance, but I think I was kind of more prepping for the lead Lycanroc, just like Stealth Rock and Accelerock and 2 other coverage attacks.
Focus Sash.
Yeah, well, I think the Endeavor is more for like the base Lycanroc. This one gets Tough Claws, so it's much better as just like an offensive sweeper. But it's very frail defensively, so if you have any kind of prio, it folds to that.
But you didn't have Bullet Punch.
Yes, so that is the kind of wrinkle here is that this would be pretty much game if I had Bullet Punch on my Metagross, so I just sack Altaria here. So I switch it in, just to preserve the so.
You,
Oh,
you
let
had
me see.
Slitherwing in, so yeah, you got to switch it out with the threat of like a banded Excel Rock or
Like
a Life Orb Excel
Celerock.
Rock.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, and the Sword Stance is really well done there.
Yep. So
And
I go
this is
ahead
a
and sack
little
here.
hairy. This is a little scary here.
Yep. And so I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I actually did not know that first impression was +2 priority. So I actually just thought I was cooked here.
Yeah, if that
Um,
was equal priority and you got outsped, then it was just curtains.
yeah. Oh, and this thing hard outspeeds. So I was like, well, I think I might just lose. But then I realized first impressions +2, and this thing is banded, and like a rock is not tanky, so it's just gonna do. It's gonna have no problem clearing that. And then from here, it's pretty much curtains. Um,
You got
I
grass
just switch out.
moves on two Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. I have Trailblaze and then Energy Ball. I figure this is the fastest way to clean it up. So just
Yeah,
take care of business. But yeah.
nice.
Overall, a couple little spots where I think I could have optimized it better, but pretty clean win. I think I had a couple good. The wild charge off the rip
The
was
Wild
really
Charge,
good.
the Toxic, and I think the Sword Stance Crunch were all pretty impactful.
Yeah.
And you did a good job getting your Diancie boost when you needed them. Some people don't know how to do that.
Yeah. I just I don't know, man. Just
Skill
RNG
difference.
just pulled through for me.
All right, we got one last match. This is my match against Chris. So I'll talk about this a little bit.
Any mons you were not prepared for,
Let me
or something you
think.
expected and didn't see?
I definitely didn't expect the Muck. I'm trying to think of what I expected. Um, Not that team. This team. I was pretty sure Superior wouldn't come because my team has like 8 Pokemon that resist grass and a Swampert. So Superior not coming wasn't surprising. I was a little afraid of Glimmet. I remember now it was Glimmet. I was a little worried about losing to Toxic Spikes after what happened to me the week before.
Oh yeah.
And this
That's a
team,
Lazzle just for that.
this team is almost all physical. Yes. So like, I had to bring Salazzle for the T Spikes because I don't believe I was running Defog, and I also needed a special attacker to try to not proc its whatever. But it gets Earth Power, so I can't send Salazzle against Glimmet because I could just get Earth Powered. So yeah, I was a little afraid of that mon, even though it hasn't never got brought. Um, Everything else I think was pretty expected. Just the Muck was surprising. So this team that I brought, this was, let me pull up the right one. First of all, I had a couple moves not save, and that always sucks. It ended up not mattering much. I had 2 dark moves on Tinkaton. I had Foul Play and Knockoff, but I did use them both at some point. And then Haxorus had a Ghost move instead of a Steel move, but it ended up not mattering because the Mimikyu died anyway. I was so looking forward to getting to press Mold Breaker into Mimikyu with Mold Breaker Steel move with either Tinkaton or Haxorus and just one-shotting the Mimikyu. That's all I really wanted from this match, and Chris couldn't even give that to me, so I don't know if we're still friends. So this is pretty scary. I did not respect the Arcanine first, and in hindsight, I don't know what I was thinking with this lead. I think this was a bad
He's got
lead.
rocks, right?
Yeah, it's Rocks Knock, Foul Play,
Yeah.
Gigaton
I mean,
Hammer. No, it's
I don't
not
know. Maybe this
Rocks.
is
It's T
the
Wave.
maybe this is the 4th gen OU in me, but I see Azelf. I think that thing's the lead.
Right. Um.
Um,
So yeah,
in
like
which case, Tank's a pretty nice lead into that, but I don't know.
Scarf Swampert probably in hindsight the best in this team because I mean Scarf Flygon isn't scary. The only thing that's maybe scary is Azelf clicking a grass move, but I can always switch into Sap Sipper. Did I go Sap Sipper? No, I didn't. I took that off. I can always switch into
You
my
were
grass resist. I have like 3 of
thick
them.
fat for the Flare Blitz, yeah.
Yeah, I switched to Thick Fat. Um, so yeah, I think I wish I had led Swampert, especially because that makes me less vulnerable to the biggest threat. I don't think Swampert had a lot of bad matchup leads, except for the one I could have switched out of. So that's rough because then I end up taking a huge crit turn one. And this ends up mattering later because now my Swampert's, instead of being at like 80 HP, it's within range of other stuff. So that's rough. This is my Arcanine answer, so I leave it in. I assume he's switching out. That's a pretty obvious switch out, so the rocks here are free. And then I just really fumbled against this Azelf. I was pretty scared of Focus Sash. And this thing has so many moves, you don't know what coverage it's bringing. So I knew a grass attack was coming here. And had this Energy Ball not dropped my special defense, I would have just clicked Encore. And I probably should have anyway.
You could have encored it and switched in Salazzle.
Right, but I think I was afraid of... I really just overthought it. The Encore was predictable, and then he gets a free switch, so I was like, okay, let me get the Stun Spore on the switch, or something along those lines.
Well, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people probably don't play around Encore.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see Whimsicott, I'm thinking mostly of, like, status.
And
Leech Seed.
Yeah.
The Stun Spore is really good in this team. I mean, 5 of those Pokemon are completely crippled once they're paralyzed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very fast, very offensive team.
And
I don't think Sunspor's a bad click. I think it just, unfortunately, does not connect, I don't think.
Yep, it misses. And then I dropped to the Flamethrower, which I probably would have died to from full. This was not a very bulky Whimsicott. And that was Expert Belt, as we later learned. So I sent out the Salazzle next. I know this Azelf's a problem. I don't know. I just fumbled this. I have first impression on the Haxorus, but I'm kind of scared of...
Sash. And then turn around.
And I don't want to lose my Haxorus early. And I'm looking at this Salazzle. I'm like, okay, there's no Glimmet. So maybe this is the most expendable Mon. It's got a Scarf. I really ended up needing him later, so sacking him here was the wrong answer. I should have gone... I mean, Tinkaton's scared off by Flamethrower. Swampert's scared off by Energy Ball. But Swampert outspeeds... No, Swampert does not outspeed. Swampert was like 2 speed shy of outspeeding Azelf, right? Because it's 240 base, that's 360, this is 361. Yeah. 1 speed shy of outspeeding Timid Azelf. I guess
Miltank is probably your best switch-in for the Azelf, but it could also carry Focus Blast.
This Miltank has no special defense, and it would just take 50% from a Psychic, at least. So instead, I think my next best option was Salazzle into First Impression, which, if it had Sash, was the right play, but because it didn't have Sash, it's just rough. And really, I mean, I could have even just taken 50% on Miltank, 50% on Haxorus, and then First Impression. I don't know. Just a really well-positioned Azelf. I didn't have the tools to deal with it. I think that was the one Mon I didn't prepare enough for, mostly. So this Mimikyu wasn't scary. The red card was funky. I didn't know what that was trying to do. But I broke the disguise.
Reset your first impression.
Reset the first impression, yeah. Thank you.
Ended up kind of working out for you.
It did. I mean, the Miltank wasn't great because Earthquake wasn't going to kill. I didn't have status, but, like, this isn't too painful of a switch in, even after a Sword Stance.
And you get to High Squidward.
I did get to kill the Mimikyu with this Tinkaton. Not the way I wanted to, but good enough.
Yeah.
So let's see. Hera comes in here.
He's gonna just click it.
Yeah. Tinkaton. I don't want to say it had
Shuka, right?
Oh, you know what I did? Yeah, I had Shuka. So I knew it couldn't Oko me. So Thunder Wave here covers Guts Facade. Like it covers the Flame Orb. And it covers Sword Stance. So yeah, the Thunder Wave here was pretty easy for me to click. Because then, like, if
then it also lets you get another hit off before he
like,
finishes you.
Like, potentially if he SDs, I get to foul play after that. So I don't mind that play, but I decided to switch out because I know this Earthquake's coming. I know another Earthquake's coming, and this Miltank's going to eat it, you know. So that's a pretty easy switch, and I get to save the Tinkaton there.
And here comes this crazy muck.
Yeah, this muck was pretty effective. I hate to say it, like I wasn't scared in the moment because I was like, okay, he's not making progress on me. But
and then he rested.
Yeah, and then he rested. even then, it's like, okay, at worst we're breaking even. But then I didn't want it to
Yeah.
come down to a PP battle, which I would lose with milk
And then he
drink.
gets poison here.
And then
Which
yeah, he's
sucks.
getting. Well, I mean, he's got poison jab, probably poison
Oh,
touch.
poison touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's probably like 60% plus on every attack to poison. So it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's
True.
when I realized like this isn't winnable long term because I could heal bell and get poison on the same turn. So that's when I knew I had to get out of here. But thankfully, this moveset shows that Tinkaton walls it. It's already lost its item, so knockoff doesn't do anything. Poison jab doesn't have any effect. So once I heal up, why did I stay in again? Oh, that was for the to
Yeah,
heal,
just want
take
the-
one hit. But like he could have poisoned me there, and it's like, okay, then I'm staying in for 2 more turns to heal twice.
Right.
So there was really no progress being made there on either side. Tinkaton's free switch in and actually does damage. So
Yeah. I think the main problem now is Tinkaton is like your one ticket of not being outrage clicked on right now
yeah,
with Flygon, which I think shows itself later in the game. And
Mhm.
Rage is not a common move, or I mean, I guess in draft it could be better, but I remember, like back in like 4th gen, 5th gen, when fairies weren't a thing, outrage was
everywhere.
That was
OU
all the
staple.
rage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then fairy types
Dragonite,
came out. People
Garchomp,
kind
and
of forgot
Salamence
about
were spamming that
outrage.
shit.
Yeah. And I'll be
Um,
honest, there's still 4 threats. I mean, there's still 3 threats on this enemy team. And I wasn't
Oh,
really
yeah.
focused in well
It's-
enough on like, oh wait, the Scarf Flygon is the scariest thing at this point because
Right. Yeah.
everything's still the scariest thing. I mean, with my Super Chunk Swampert, most of my damage is gone. So yeah, you're right. The Tinkaton could have been preserved for that Flygon late. But I end up getting some
Yeah.
pretty good use out of it. Does that kill?
Mhm.
No, it doesn't kill. But I did get the Black Sludge off, and I crippled it.
Yeah.
Which gives Swampert free entry. I thought this was a really good flip turn because the Muck should have been in range anyway. So this is great. I get the flip turn. I get my Scarfer back off the field. But in hindsight, here's the problem. I failed to, when I was in this moment right here, I forgot that I was switching first, and I thought we were both switching at the same time. Not that I really had any winning positions at this point. Because, like, if I go straight to Haxorus, I know this is Scarf Flygon. And then Miltank gives way to, I don't know. Miltank's pretty, it's just so passive.
Yeah.
My chance here is to body slam it.
Parahacks.
No, actually, it's to body slam it after CC is my hope here.
Okay.
But
But
that's
the
it.
CC
It's fucking
one-shots.
banded. Oh yeah, I didn't know it was choice banded. Right? I think that's what ended up happening here. Yeah, I just did a fuckload. It was supposed to do like 76. Yeah, it was a roll. It was a roll before I clicked Milk Drink. Oh, but the band just deleted me. Yeah, it was like 70 to 78 unchoiced, but that was nasty. That was so much damage. Thankfully, it did open up an avenue for the Haxorus.
Coming
And
in skill shot.
if Flygon isn't scarfed, I'm in a winning position. Big if, I know.
Yeah.
Big if. I kind of knew it was scarfed, so this is kind of futile. So yeah, I get the speed boost, but the Flygon's still faster. He brings it in here. I know it's scarfed because otherwise it wouldn't come in, so my only out is Swampert to survive 1 outrage, force a 2nd outrage, and then Flygon would be confused, and maybe I could get off 2 scale shots against other stuff. Or it hits itself in confusion. But because of that Flare Blitz crit, the outrage was in range to kill. Because I think it was like, what was I at? I was at 58 health.
58, yeah.
I think
You would have been.
I think the
70.
outrage was roll from that health, but if I was healthier, if I had 20% more health, it would not have been in range. And then there's
Yeah.
a slight chance at an out, but I was pretty cooked at this point. The Scarf Flygon was positioned perfectly to just take it from here. And it was a good match. I was a little upset that I brought a couple wrong moves. That's always a little frustrating, and the crit off turn one is
Yep.
tough. But I played it well after that. My opponent played it really well. Um, but man, I wish I could have. I really wanted a second chance. Best of three.
Yeah.
Whatever. I wanted my revenge, but it's
Oh man,
okay.
dude, it's like so draining for me to already play that one best of
Oh
one
yeah.
per week.
I know.
It's like I'd be a. I mean, I definitely get it. Um,
And it's not just
actually,
about the luck factor, because I mean, the more matches you play, you're balancing RNG over the course of them, and better player wins more often the more matches. But
yeah.
it's also like sometimes I'll come up with like two or three totally different teams, and I want to use them all, and then I have to narrow it
Oh,
down
I
to
feel
just
that,
yeah. It's like, oh, I have a bunch
dude.
of cool
Actually,
ideas, and I don't really know if they're good, but I want to try them. But in a best of one format, you're kind of forced to only go with your best team if you want to
yeah,
win.
dude. This week, I thought it might be the Reggie Gigas angle. I was cooking. I was deep in the labs, like looking at this lineup and
Who
thinking
was it
like, oh,
against again? Oh, this
it
was against
was
the
I
chat.
guess Boz.
Dude, I guess if you're gonna bring Reggie Gigas, you might as well try it against the computer generated team.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, and also I was like, oh, well, like maybe
If
it
you
can just
lose
kind
to
of like
this team,
maybe he can come in and like sit on like Gastro or Porygon 2, and I don't know, like I can come in on like a fully defensive Gastro and just bring rest and like body slam and drain punch or power up punch, and I don't know. I thought maybe this is the Regigigas week, and then I was like, well, I think what kind of tipped it over the edge, other than like just common sense, like all right, well, don't bring a Pokemon that's going to actively handicap you. Um, I mean, it is a fun Pokemon. I've been wanting to bring it. Unfortunately, not going to happen. I had caved and made the trade this week. But I think what kind of made me realize that it was not the best look was just the fast fighting type moves, the close combat on the Lycan Rock, and the close combat or the high jump kick from the Blaziken that I thought he might bring. So it's like, well, maybe not the best this week, but it could have been.
Could have been. So Robert, let me ask you what we've got you. Are you playing your next match, or is it
Okay,
not going to be?
so
Because most people probably
so
don't know what's going on.
right. So I have a job that has me travel a lot, and often travel like in situations where I will not have like a consistent internet connection at all. Like I do a lot of marine or naval research, so I'm going on a short trip that starts, I think, on this Friday. So I will not be here, or I will not. I can't guarantee that I will be able to play my next two matches, and so that will be against Natho and Astro, who
Okay.
thankfully are both homies,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I don't think it'll be a problem for either of them. But some of you may have seen little Bose slide into the server. That is my little brother, and he is secretly a showdown fiend, but he cooks up some crazy technology. So